Chapter 1. Lin Yu, a 996 social animal of the new era with a sense of justice, was influenced by martial arts movies and TV dramas since he was a child, and determined to be a knight who eliminates violence and is good at peace when he grows up. Of course, this is nonsense. Be a knight in modern society and wait for tea. After graduating from college, Lin Yu's daily life is about 2 o'clock and one line. He usually likes to watch various animations and play games. When he is traveling on vacation, he worships the gods and prays for one day to get rich overnight. If there were no accidents, his life trajectory would be to find someone he loves, then start a family, and work hard to be a good cow and horse until he retires, and this life will pass like this. As a result, this damn accident happened. After all, he is the protagonist. How can he survive without accidents? Should the plot developed? Unexpectedly, a lottery ticket I bought unexpectedly won the prize. Or the first prize. Could it be said that this is the legendary overnight wealth? Lin Yu looked at the lottery ticket in his hand and couldn't help but feel an uncontrollable joy in his heart. And excitement. This is a total of 10 million yuan. With this money, life will undergo earth-shaking changes. Thank you all the ancestors. We are the gods and true spirits of China. It's not in vain for me to worship at every temple. I will reshape the golden bodies of the big guys from all over the world someday, Lin Yu said to himself excitedly, his eyes twinkling, glowing with excitement. However, just as I was immersed in endless joy, a thought suddenly flashed through my mind. Could it be that the director drank too much yesterday and said the wrong number when handing over the lottery numbers? After all, this kind of thing is not impossible. It may have happened. After all, the appearance of gods is too outrageous, and the promised materialist society is just that. In any case, this lottery ticket has changed his destiny. The next thing to do is to plan how to use the money so that it can bring you more happiness and satisfaction. At the same time, we must also learn to cherish this rare luck, never forget our original intentions, and continue to work hard to move forward. The next day, Lin Yu came to the lottery center early and completed all the prize redemption procedures. He held the huge prize check tightly in his hand, and his heart was full of excitement and expectation. After walking out of the lottery center, Lin Yu took a deep breath and felt the warmth of the sun shining on his body. He walked towards the nearby bank with firm steps, immersed in the beautiful longing for his future life along the way. Walking into the bank lobby, Lin Yu handed the prize redemption check to the staff and went through the transfer procedures. Every step made him feel nervous and excited, as if he was entering a new stage of life. When all the procedures were completed, Lin Yu looked at the received amount displayed on the mobile banking, and his joy was indescribable. This huge sum of money means that he can realize his dreams, travel, learn new skills, invest in businesses, etc. Walking out of the bank gate, Lin Yu's face was filled with a happy smile. He knows that this lottery ticket has changed his destiny, but more importantly, how can he use this opportunity to create a better life of his own? Lin Yu began to plan his future, decided to take some time off and enjoy life. Then consider investing in some potential projects or pursuing your long-standing interests and hobbies. Whether he chooses to continue working or start his own business, Lin Yu firmly believes that as long as he maintains a positive attitude and works hard, he will be able to live the life he wants. And all of this stems from that small lottery ticket, which brought Lin Yu endless hope and possibility. But the most important thing now is to have fun. Now that you finally have money, can't you enjoy it? Lin Yu stood at the bank gate and smiled. People around him looked at him like a fool. Suddenly a scream came from my ears. Come here. Someone is robbing you. The shouting instantly broke Lin Yu's thoughts. He thought that he had practiced a few tricks in college. He was not a small robber. After all, he was a man who wanted to be a knight. Moreover, as outstanding new socialist young people should act recklessly when encountering this kind of thing and protect the people's property from infringement. Lin Yu immediately rushed to the robber, thinking that today was his lucky day. Not only would he be rich, but he might also get the title of brave man, which would be great. Lin Yu roared righteously while rushing towards the robbers. Little brother, robbery in broad daylight. You are showing off your head. Put your hands on your head and squat down. You are already surrounded. Who would have thought that the robber on the opposite side suddenly took out a pistol, and without saying any more words, he just opened fire. Lin Yu suddenly felt his eyes darken. F***K. If you don't talk about martial arts, you can't afford this, brother. Are you going to shoot someone during a robbery? Damn it, I haven't even used the money I won from the lottery yet. I'm a young model in the club. I'm still an innocent little virgin. I'm brave enough to fight for justice. Lin Yu fell into a pool of blood. his consciousness gradually blurring. When he woke up again, he found himself in a strange place. I'm already dead, isn't it? This should be the underworld, but the underworld should be a gloomy and terrifying place. What's going on with the blue sky, white clouds and green grass, and the dazzling sun? What's going on? There's a bull-headed horse face. Well, I didn't see Hei by Wu Chong. I just wanted to do something brave, and the robber who killed me just asked me to send it. If I had known better, I wouldn't have been rash. In the next life, you should be strict with yourself. The more reckless you are, the faster you will die. I don't think so much anymore. This must be the underworld. The spooky and terrifying things are just like in mythical novels. I think I have been keeping to myself since I was a child, and I haven't done anything like that. He did something outrageous and often helped the old lady cross the road. This should lead to a good pregnancy. Lin Yu looked at the sky in a daze. Hey, kid, is there anything good to see in the sky? A female voice came from my ear. Lin Yu looked at the place where the voice came from. Damn, what a beautiful girl. The person who came was a woman wearing a black kimono, a sufong-colored haori with a white lining, a long ponytail, and a young woman with glasses. She has a petite figure but a plump bust, and a calm expression. She also has something like a samurai sword hanging on her waist. Lin Yu looked incredulous, and his brain suddenly shut down. Wait, this is not a horse. Hell, this style of painting is obviously wrong. If my memory is correct, then the black clothes are not kimonos, but tyrannical clothes. This costume should be that of a Shinigami, and this is a captain-level Shinigami. You must know that not every Shinigami is qualified to wear haori. This is a captain-level exclusive costume. Sufong color lining. This should be the color of haori from the 8th division of the Shinigami 13th division. Lin Yu came back to his senses and looked at the face of the visitor. Female, captain of the 8th division, wear glasses. Is this Lisa, the loser? Why is the face different from the one in the anime? Or maybe I recognized it wrongly. But she is the captain of the 8th division with a female character, wearing glasses and big breasts. Lin Yu's face suddenly turned red. Pig liver color indicates a premature death. Lin Yu quickly sorted out the general plot of Shinigami in his mind. Yudumaru Lisa's promotion to captain of the 8th division should be after the plot of the 1,000 Years of Blood War. The former captain of the 8th division was Kyoraku Shunsui. In the Millennium Blood War plot, Yamamoto Jinryusai Shigekuni, captain of the 1st Division of the Gotei 13th Division and general captain of the Gotei 13th Division, was killed by the king of the Quincy, Yawach. Later, Kyoraku Shunsui accepted the order of Central 46 and succeeded him as the captain of the 1st team and the captain of the Gotei 13. Kyoraku Shunsui has had 2 vice-captains. One is Ayase Nanao, who was transferred to the 1st team with him as the deputy captain, and the other is Yudimura Lisa, the current captain of the 8th team. This woman's appearance is different from what she remembers. Maybe it's because of the change in the passage of time. I don't know what time it is now. Even if I know the plot well, it's useless. After all, the comic only ends at the end of the 1,000-year bloody battle, and the author didn't draw it after that. Lin Yu felt like his eyesight went dark at this moment. Others who traveled through time were in the plot timeline. Why was he so unlucky that he traveled to the anime world that he knew well? However, after the plot ended, he had no idea what would happen in the future. You know, it's really over. At this time, the woman who looked like Yudimura Lisa spoke. Kid, what's that expression on your face? Do you know me? Also, welcome to the place where souls belong, Soul Society. Chapter 2. Although Lin Yu already knew that this was Soul Society, he still pretended to be ignorant and asked curiously, Sister, what exactly is Soul Society? And who are you? The woman looked at Lin Yu, frowned with a puzzled look, and said, Soul Society is the place where the souls belong after death. Judging from your surprised expression just now, I thought you knew me. Woolen cloth. Since you asked, I will reluctantly tell you that I am the captain of the 8th division of the Gotei 13th division, Shikatori Bonsai. Bonsai's face darkened as he spoke. You just called me eldest sister, kid? Then he put his hand on the Zanpakuto. Sure enough, this is the captain of the 8th division. Huh. No, she said she is Shikatori Unsai, the captain of the 8th division, not the Yudimura Lisa I thought. Lin Yu felt paralyzed instantly. This is not what happened after 1,000 years of bloody battles. Soul Society before. It's true that Shikaba Unsai is the captain of the 8th division, but she is the captain of the 8th division of 1st generation. The 1st generation Gotei 13, named Gotei, are actually a killer group that actually commits murder. The captains of the first-generation Gotei 13 were all extremely vicious villains, completely different from the later Gotei 13. Looking at Ba Yunzhai's gloomy face, Lin Yu thought to himself, "It's over. I called her eldest sister just now. Look at this girl's actions. Will she just draw her sword and chop me down? She finally traveled to Soul Society. No? I'm going to send it again. You ask me why I don't act recklessly. Isn't it quite reckless? Come on, I'm a fool. But I'm not an idiot. That's the captain of the first-generation Gotei 13. I'm so reckless with my head. It's just an easy thing for her to hack me to death. It turns out to be Captain Shikatori. I'm really rude. Please forgive me for being rude." Lin Yu suddenly knelt in front of Ba Yunzhai with a shovel. "There is no other way. In order to survive, I have to accept the shame. A man can bend and stretch. Besides, the captain of the 13th Division of First Generation is also the top combat power in Soul Society, so there is no shame in kneeling to her." Seeing Lin Yu's sudden move, Ba Yunzhai was stunned for a moment and put his hand down from his Zanpakudo. What an interesting kid. He's quite enlightened. He's just a newly born soul. It doesn't matter whether he's killed or not. No, I didn't pay attention just now. This kid just came to Soul Society. His spiritual pressure is at the 6th level. He has already reached the threshold of deputy captain level. If he can get systematic training, he will definitely become a leader in the future. The top combat power in the Soul Society. The Shinigami world's Ryatsu is divided into 20 levels. The Ryatsu of ordinary members of the Gotei 13 is the 20th level. The Ryatsu of each team's chief officer is level 7 to 19. The Ryatsu of the deputy captain is level 4 to 6, etc., and those above the captain level are 1st to 3rd class. "Kid, tell me your name." Ba Yunzhai had a kind expression on his face. "Captain Shikatori, my name is Lin Yu. It's my honor to meet you." Lin Yu had a mean expression on his face. "Lin Yu, do you know what the Gotei 13 are?" Ba Yunzhai asked with a smile. "I was just born in Soul Society. The Gotei 13 seems to have 13 teams according to its name. It should be an organization in Soul Society. Please let me know what the organization is." "Captain Shikatori, can I ask? Is Captain Shikatori the captain of several divisions?" "I didn't hear clearly just now," Lin Yu said sincerely. "You must not reveal that you have watched the Shinigami anime and just pretend to be a novice who knows nothing, otherwise you will suffer a big loss if you are hacked to death." Ba Yunzhai turned sideways, revealing the character 8 on Yuji's back. "As you can see, I am the captain of the 8th Division. The Gotei 13 is an organization set up to protect the Siri-IDI. It is currently a killer organization. I don't know what it will turn into in the future. Lin Yu, are you willing to join the Gotei 13? You had 6th level spiritual pressure when you were born in Soul Society. I think Old Man Shan will be very happy for you to join. With Old Man Shan's teachings, you can also become a peaceful warrior. I am as strong a captain as I am." "Old Man Shan, this is the Captain Yamamoto Jusai Shigakuni, I guess. If you can hang out with Old Man Shan, you don't have to worry about being suddenly hacked to death one day." A look of hesitation appeared on Lin Yu's face. But at this time, Old Man Shan is also a cruel person. Lin Yu was silent for a moment, then looked up at Ba Yunzhai. "I can join the Gotei 13th team, but I have a condition?" Ba Yunzhai asked with great interest. "Oh, what are the conditions?" "Let me tell you. I want to choose the squad I join," Lin Yu said firmly. Ba Yunzhai laughed. "Haha, it's interesting. You have quite a personality. However, this is not an easy task. Each division of the Gotei 13 has its own characteristics and tasks. You have to how to choose." Lin Yu smiled slightly. "I don't have to worry about Captain Ba Yunzhai. I believe I can find a suitable squad." Ba Yunzhai nodded. "Well, since you have this confidence, I won't say more. Wait until you think about it carefully before telling me your decision. But don't let me wait too long, otherwise I'll change my mind." After saying that, she turned and left. Lin Yu looked at her leaving back and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He knows that he still has a long way to go, but he has already taken the first step. Next, he must carefully plan his life in Soul Society and how to deal with various challenges he may encounter. Following in the footsteps of Bonsai, he arrived at the main gate of Siri-IDI from Rukongai in a short while. Siri-IDI is located in an important place in the center of Soul Society. It is the political and military headquarters of Soul Society. It houses a central underground conference room and the team buildings of the Gotei 13 Division, the residences of Shinigami nobles, and the residences of ordinary Shinigami. The residence, the endless hell where vicious criminals are imprisoned. and the Central Academy of Spiritual Arts that the common people long for most. I wonder if it has been established now? There are 4 gates in Siriidii: West, East, North, and South: Hakudo, Qinglu, Kurii, and Juwa. Lin Yu looked at the huge door in front of him and didn't know which door it was. We are finally entering the Siriidii, Master Shan, and all the captains from thousands of years ago. Duan Zhangwen, open the door. Following Ba Yunzhai's words, the door slowly opened. Duanzong Maru, it seems that this is the north gate of Siriidii. Listening to Ba Yunzhai's call, Lin Yu knew the location of this gate. It turns out that Captain Ba Yunzhai is back. Is the kid behind you brought back by the captain? I'm so lucky to get your favor. Maybe he will become a big shot in the future. Hello, Lord Duanzamaru. My name is Lin Yu. Nice to meet you. Lin Yu, right? I'm not an adult. I'm just the guardian of the north gate of Siriidii. I can only be regarded as a hero in Soul Society. Lin Yu, stop talking nonsense and follow me. I will take you to see the captain first. As expected of the center of Soul Society, Siriidii is much more prosperous than the newly born Rukongai. Although I have seen Siriidii countless times in comics, this time I saw it with my own eyes, and the shock is irreplaceable. Looking at the Shinigami coming and going on the street, Lin Yu followed Ba Yunzhai towards the first team area. Yamamoto Jinryusai Shigekuni is finally going to meet the man who is known as the strongest Shinigami in Soul Society for thousands of years. Really looking forward to it. Chapter 3. Lin Yu, wait for me here. I'll go in to see the captain. After saying that, Ba Yunzhai went in minding his own business. Captain Yamamoto, I have brought a kid that you may be interested in. A newly born soul whose spiritual pressure has reached the 6th level without training. Let him in. Lin Yu, the captain wants to see you. Come in quickly. Lin Yu stepped into the captain's room and looked at the young captain. He didn't look as old as after 1,000 years in the comics at all. Just sitting there on his knees gave off a sense of oppression. This spiritual pressure really made him feel uncomfortable. People feel uncomfortable. There is only one, on Captain Yamamoto's forehead. It seems that Sasakabe Chojiro has not yet appeared at this time. Sasakabe Chojiro, the deputy captain of the first team, is a soy sauce person in Shinigami. The full name is Sasakabe Chojiro Tadayoshi. About 2,000 years ago, Chojiro worked hard to hone his strength in order to become Yamamoto's deputy and complied with the other party's request, successfully practicing Bankai within a month. Later, when Yamamoto was about to accept the results and asked him to try to use Bankai to knock him down, Chojiro used the newly trained Bankai to hurt the captain's forehead, making the captain who had no intention of taking in his attendance recognize his strength. He has been with Yamamoto since the beginning. He is extremely loyal to Captain Yamamoto and has sworn that as long as Captain Yamamoto is still alive, he will always serve as the deputy captain of the first team. You could say that he is a soy saucer. He could use Bankai to leave scars on Captain Yamamoto's forehead, and made Captain Shigekuni Yamamoto add the 3 words, Jinryusai, to his name. In the first Quincy battle, he also sneaked a surprise attack on Yawatch, but during the 1,000-year bloody battle, he was instantly killed. It was a complete tragedy. While Lin Yu was observing Captain Yamamoto, Yamamoto Jinryusai opened his slightly closed eyes. He is a good kid. He can remain calm despite my dissipated spiritual pressure. He has innate 6th-level spiritual pressure. If he polishes it well, he has the potential to become a strong man. Lin Yu, right? Ba Yunzhai has told me information about you. Although you have 6th-level spiritual pressure, you don't know any of the Zon fist-walking ghosts that you need to master as a Shinigami. If you want to become if you are qualified and strong, you still have a long way to go. Then you can join my Yuanlu, and I will teach you personally in UNZ school. Genji Juku? It seems that the Central Spiritual Arts Academy has not been established yet. I can also be regarded as the initial stock of the Gotei 13 team. Captain Yamamoto, if I accept your teachings, can I become as strong as you? Lin Yu, I have to say that your idea is very bold, but young people need to be bold. I will teach you everything I know. As for how far you can go in the future, it depends on yourself. Becoming a strong man is not that easy. Yuan Liuzhai looked at Lin Yu with sharp eyes. Ba Yunzhai, find him a shallow punch. Starting tomorrow, I will personally teach him how to cut the fist and move the ghost. If there is nothing else, you can leave. Captain, we are resigning. Lin Yu and Ba Yunzhai walked out of the first team together. Lin Yu, you have just arrived at the Siriidii, and you have nowhere to go. Come back to the 8th division with me. I will make arrangements for you. I will tell you about the current situation of each team in the Gotei 13th division. There are also the basic knowledge of Zuki that the captain just taught you. These 4 techniques are what a qualified Shinigami must master. Then thank you, Captain Yunzhai. Although I know this from reading the comics, I still have to learn it. Soon Lin Yu and Yunzhai arrived at the 8th Division team building. Now let me tell you roughly what Zuki is. Zuki represents the 4 fighting methods of Shinigami. Yunzhai explained seriously to Lin Yu. Among them, Zan refers to attacking with weapons, and the one we Shinigami most commonly use is Zanpaku. Knife, fist is white hits, which is the unarmed fighting technique. Walk is Shuinpa, which is used to move quickly and dodge enemy attacks. And Ghost is more special and involves the use of Kido. For Kido, you can simply understand it as a kind of magic. Lin Yu nodded while listening. He knew some of these contents from the comics. To master these 4 techniques, you need constant practice and training. Especially Shuinpa, it is the basis of Shinigami combat. Only by mastering it proficiently can you respond flexibly in battle. Yunzhai continued. I see. Lin Yu nodded thoughtfully. Then what kind of magic is Kido? Yunzhai smiled slightly and explained. Kido is actually a spell that uses spiritual power. It can be activated by chanting spells and has various effects, such as attack, defense, seal, etc. Moreover, Kido's the power will also increase as the caster's spiritual pressure increases. Sounds awesome. Lin Yu's eyes flashed with excitement. Of course, Kido's practice is not easy. Not only do you need to master the correct chants and gestures, but you also need to have enough spiritual support. However, with your talent, I believe you will be able to learn it well. Yunzhai encouraged. Next, I will introduce to you some basic information about the current team captains of the Gotei 13. You have already met the captain and general captain of the first team, Yamamoto Shigekuni, also known as Yamai, so I won't say more. The captain of the second division is Senhi Shihoin. The Shihoin family belongs to the nobility of the Soul Society. At the same time, the captain of the second division also serves as the commander-in-chief of the secret mobile force. The captain of the third division, Tohara Kindler, wears a pair of glasses and has a slicked back hair. He usually looks quite serious. The captain of the fourth squadron, Shirjima Chijiri, had a ponytail and a gloomy look on his face. The captain of the 5th Division, Oka Danjiro, is a tall, muscular man and a very cheerful person. Saito, captain of the 6th Division, is an immortal, crazy woman who wears an eye patch and twin tails. Hearing these words, Lin Yu's mouth twitched. The captain of the 7th Division, Nobutsuna, wears fur all year round and looks fierce at ordinary times. The captain of the 9th Division has a smoky face and a big bald head inlaid with gold teeth, like a monster. The captain of the 10th Division, Wang Tukawa Yuri, usually wears a hat, is a handsome guy, and is quite gentle to others. The captain of the 11th Division is Unohana Yachiru. This woman claims to have mastered all schools in the world and has killed countless people. Before joining the Gotei 13th Division, she was an unprecedented evil person. Stay away from her, don't get hacked to death by her. Up. The captain of the 12th Division, Zenjoji, has a concubine, a fat man with a red facial pattern, who he doesn't usually have much contact with. The captain of the 13th Squadron is a tough guy. He has a bald head, a hunchback, and a charming smile. Don't go to him if you have nothing to do. Okay, the above is the basic situation of the current captains of each team. You will see them in the future, so you can get to know them slowly. As for the secret mobile force mentioned just now, it is an organization independent of Team 13, and there are also Kido members. The covert mobile force consists of 5 units. The 1st Detachment Criminal Army, mainly responsible for executions and assassinations, it is the most violent and direct execution force among the covert mobile forces. Police Squadron 2, the unit responsible for patrolling the Juaridei and monitoring Shinigami's movements. The 3rd Division Inspection Team guards the Worm Nest, the prison and Soul Society, and is responsible for monitoring and managing imprisoned Shinigami, or dangerous elements. The 5th Team, Lighting Team, is responsible for quickly conveying orders to all units. Unlike the Hell Butterfly Messenger, the orders conveyed by the Lighting Team are first-level strict orders. As for the 4th Detachment, I have never come into contact with it. I heard that it was a detachment set up to protect the nobles. If you want to know more, ask the captain of Siphon Jaiwan yourself, although he will not tell you. Okay, these are the basic knowledge that you must master as a Shinigami. That's all for today. Starting from tomorrow, the captain will teach you Zanpakuto during the day, and I will teach you about Zanpakuto in the evening. This is the core of our Shinigami. Lin Yu hummed a little tune and returned to the dormitory arranged by Yunzhai, flopped down on the bed, and then rolled around on the bed like a caterpillar. He slowly reviewed the events from time travel to this moment, Shinigami, Zankinzuki, Zanpakuto, and the plot characters he was familiar with. From today on, I am one of you. No one stands in the sky from the beginning, whether it is you, me, or gods. From now on, I will stand in the sky. You said this is a classic quote from Hairspray Han Londa, fart. Londa didn't even appear. This sentence is what I, Lin Yu, said when Uranus Lousy came. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 4. Early in the morning, Lin Yu took the shallow shot given to him by Yunzhai and went to Captain Yamamoto's residence. Training is about to start today. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know how the captain will teach me. You're quite early. Yunzhai should have told you the definition of swordsmanship last night. Let's start learning swordsmanship today. Lin Yu, what do you think swordsmanship is? Team Yamamoto looked at him meaningfully. I think swordsmanship is just a technique, like a move or a slashing routine. Innocent kid. Swordsmanship doesn't need any fancy tricks. The so-called swordsmanship is to let you cut what you should cut, that's all. The tricks will only affect the speed of your slashing. What an inconvenience that is. I thought swordsmanship was just a trick. From now on, let's start with the most basic practice of swinging a knife. Watch my movements carefully. The captain looked forward and pulled out his Zanpakuto fiercely. Lin Yu saw a flash of light from the knife, and before he could react, the knife struck him. No. Is it possible that the captain will chop me to death if I am too idiotic? Lin Yu instinctively closed his eyes. Why doesn't it hurt? I must have sent it already, and I don't even feel the pain. Open your eyes, kid. The next moment, the captain's furious roar reached Lin Yu's ears. Lin Yu was instantly startled, and when he opened his eyes, he found that he was fine. Looking at the Zanpakuto that was clinging to his body, this sword was really terrifying. He couldn't react at all. The blade of the sword was close to his body, but did not cut into his body. What kind of control and speed was this? Are you an idiot? The captain's face turned red. Oops. The captain is angry. Lin Yu suddenly panicked. Captain, please listen to my explanation. I thought you were going to hack me to death, but I was already prepared to die heroically. I closed my eyes to accept it calmly. Seeing Lin Yu's mean expression, the captain was stunned for a moment. Kid, I have to say, you are really thick-skinned. I don't know if my knife can cut it open. No, Captain, I can't take your blow. Okay, did you see anything from the knife just now? The captain looked at Lin Yu seriously after putting away the knife. I saw your absolute control of speed and strength from the captain's sword. You still have to be serious when you should be serious. Lin Yu pointedly expressed his understanding of this knife. Yes, although you are a bit unruly, your brain is still quite flexible. To cut, you need to control the speed and power of your sword swing. Only by perfectly combining speed and power can you achieve the strongest cutting effect. Now, you try to swing the knife according to what I did just now. Lin Yu took a deep breath, then unsheathed his sword and tried his best to imitate the captain's actions. However, his movement seemed stiff and unnatural, and the blade could not hit the target as accurately as the captain. The speed is too slow and the strength is not enough. Try again, the captain said sternly. Lin Yu tried again, but the result did not improve much. Concentrate and feel the weight and balance of the blade. Make the knife become a part of your body and swing it as you like. The captain stepped forward and adjusted Lin Yu's posture himself. Today's goal: follow this move 1,000 times. No, Captain. It will be exhausting. Lin Yu cried sadly. Shut up. Start, count by yourself, swing one less sword, and run around the first team area 10 times. If you can't complete it, I will personally educate you. 1 knife, 2 knives, 3 swords. As the number of swings of the knife increased, Lin Yu gradually entered a state of selflessness. His state was like a martial arts master in a novel who became obsessed when practicing kung fu. But the difference was that Lin Yu did not become obsessed, but immersed in a wonderful world. There was only him and the knife in his hand in this world, and each knife carried a sharp aura that made people afraid to look directly at it. At this time, Lin Yu had completely forgotten everything around him. Only the knife and the action of swinging the knife were left in his mind. Every time he swung the knife, he would feel a wonderful connection between his body and the knife, and this connection made him feel extremely excited. He knew that this was the feeling that the captain asked him to look for, the feeling of being able to maximize his power. Unknowingly, Lin Yu had swung more than 100 knives, each one faster, harder, and stronger than the previous one. His body was also soaked with sweat, but he was unaware of it and was still immersed in that wonderful feeling. Finally, when Lin Yu swung the knife again, he suddenly felt as if he had touched something. It was an indescribable feeling, as if it was a layer of gauze that could be healed with just a light poke through. But when he wanted to feel it carefully, he found that the veil had disappeared without a trace, as if it was just an illusion. What is this? Lin Yu was confused. He didn't know what he had just touched, nor how he could feel it again. However, he is not discouraged because he knows that this is an important breakthrough point for his swordsmanship. As long as he can seize this opportunity, he will be able to greatly improve his swordsmanship. So, Lin Yu continued to wave the knife in his hand, trying to find the wonderful feeling just now. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get that feeling back. He couldn't help but feel a little frustrated. Is this really just an illusion? At this moment, Lin Yu suddenly thought of something. When I read novels in the past, there was this kind of plot. Whether it was practicing swordsmanship or sword practice, if you want to become a real master, you must achieve the integration of man, sword, and sword. In other words, you must make sword become one. The knife becomes a part of your body, as flexible as your arm. Thinking of this, Lin Yu suddenly felt enlightened. He realized that the wonderful feeling just now was not an illusion, but that he had accidentally touched the realm of the unity of man and sword during his practice. Although it was only a moment, it was enough for him to understand that he was not far from this realm. While Lin Yu was thinking, Captain Yamamoto opened his eyes in disbelief. Not only does this kid have surprisingly high spiritual pressure, he is also a genius in swordsmanship. He has realized the true meaning of swordsmanship so quickly. Yunzhai has really picked up an incredible treasure. After exiting this wonderful feeling, Lin Yu felt as if he had been beaten, with pain all over his body and loss of strength. He involuntarily stopped swinging the knife and collapsed on the ground. He stopped, maybe because his physical strength is too low. It seems that while he is practicing swordsmanship, he needs to strengthen this kid's physique. Captain Yamamoto suddenly thought of something. Kid, you haven't swung the knife enough times for 1,000 times. I just said that if you swing the knife less than once, you will run around the first team 10 times. Now, immediately, start running for me. Immediately afterwards, a strange scene appeared outside the first team. Among the puzzled expressions of all the Shinigami, there was an unknown young Shinigami carrying a Zanpakuto, running around the team like a headless fly, and kept muttering, "How scary. Okay. Horrible." Behind him was Captain Yamamoto with a gloomy face, holding a Zanpakuto, chasing him all the way. Chapter 5. I heard that today you were chased all the way by the captain with a Zanpakuto. What outrageous thing did you do to make the captain so angry? Yunzhai looked at Lin Yu, who had just returned to the 8th Division, and asked impatiently. Out. Don't talk about it. The captain asked me to practice slashing. I had to swing the sword 1,000 times. If I didn't swing it once, I would have to run around the first team 10 times. Otherwise, I would have to give me a love education. What happened next was that. Lin Yu, you are famous. Now almost the entire Siriidii knows that a young Shinigami was chased away by the captain with a knife. Yunzhai covered his mouth and laughed. Are all the Shinigami so laid back? It only took half a day for the news to spread all over the Siriidii. I have to say that the news spreads really fast. After a tiring day, it would be great if I could have a hot pot meal and a drink. Hot pot? What kind of food is that? Is it delicious? Yunzhai's eyes lit up when he heard the word hot pot. It turns out that Captain Yunzhai is a foodie. Captain, don't you know this way of eating? Hot pot is a way of eating in my hometown. The taste is awesome. I really miss it. Seeing Yunzhai's eyes gleaming and his saliva almost flowing out, Lin Yu decided to show off. Then please ask Captain Yunzhai to prepare the ingredients and tools I need, and let me show them to you. 2222. The hot pot is finally boiling. Lin Yu, are you sure this is delicious? Look at the red color in the pot. Almost all of it is chili pepper and red oil. It looks very spicy at first glance. Yunzhai looked distrustful. Believe me, Captain, this is delicious. It's your first time eating it. I'll get you some dipping water. He poured some sesame oil into Yunzhai's bowl. When eating hot pot, dipping it in water and adding sesame oil is enough. The original flavor will make it delicious. Hoo-hoo. Although this hot pot is very spicy, it tastes really good. Yunzhai quickly picked up vegetables from the pot, and his hands were almost blurred. Captain, slow down. Slow down. No one will compete with you. Hiccup. After finishing the hot pot, the two people leaned on their chairs and rubbed their stomachs. It feels so good to be full. Lin Yu looked satisfied. Thank you for the treat. I will eat it next time. Yunzhai was also very satisfied. By the way, Captain, you haven't told me the principles of the Zanpakuto yet. Lin Yu thought of business. The shape, state, and ability of the Zanpakuto are based on Shinigami's own soul. Shinigami gains power by knowing the name of the Zanpakuto given to him and by having a spiritual dialogue with it. This is Zanpakuto. Soul Sword. Now you have a Zanpakuto in your hand. Each sword has its own name. During the battle, Shinigami can call the name of his own sword to free the sword and release more powerful power to fight. When the Zanpakuto kills a hollow, the hollow is purified and restored to his original state. The sword should be inserted into the hollow's head. It is worth noting that each Zanpakuto has its own soul, thoughts, and personality. Don't think of it as a weapon. What is the principle of Zanpakuto Shurikai? Well, Zanpakuto Shurikai actually awakens the power within the sword so that it can be better controlled by the user, thereby exerting greater power. Of course, the Shurikai method and ability of each Zanpakuto are unique. Yunzhai explained seriously. I see. Then how can I achieve Shurikai? Lin Yu asked eagerly. This requires you to continue to practice and understand. Only when you truly understand your Zanpakuto and establish a deep connection with it can you succeed in Shurikai. However, this is a long process, and you cannot rush for quick success, Yunzhai said earnestly. I understand, Captain. I will work hard. Lin Yu's eyes were firm. What about Bankai? Don't be too ambitious. Let's wait until you master Shurikai first. Captain, having said so much, I still want to know how to increase spiritual pressure. Although I now have 6th level spiritual pressure, I am still a rookie. Lin Yu urgently wanted to know how to increase spiritual pressure. Are you a genius or an idiot? The improvement of spiritual pressure is achieved by practicing Zanpakuto. Yunzhai looked at Lin Yu with disgust. I thought there were special training techniques for increasing spiritual pressure. Okay, let me first tell you how to establish a connection with your Zanpakuto. As I said just now, you need to communicate with your Zanpakuto and know its name, so that you can transform the light attack into a Zanpakuto and use its power. If you want to successfully establish contact and communicate with the Zanpakuto, you must practice Sword Zen, which is meditation. The specific method is to place the Zanpakuto on your legs, then assume a meditating posture and start meditating. In this way, you can align your own thinking with the Zanpakuto and gradually achieve the goal of communicating with the Zanpakuto. However, this process is very time-consuming. Usually, it may take up to 10 days, half a month, or even longer to complete a Sword Zen practice. During the practice of Sword Zen, Shinigami needs to devote himself wholeheartedly to it and abandon external interference and distracting thoughts. Only when your heart is completely calm can you resonate better with the Zanpakuto. This not only tests Shinigami's perseverance and patience, but also requires them to have a high degree of concentration. During meditation, Shinigami will feel a mysterious and powerful force. This power comes from the Zanpakuto itself, but it is not a simple weapon, but an existence with independent consciousness and soul. Therefore, establishing a good communication relationship with the Zanpakuto is crucial for a good Shinigami. Of course, Sword Zen practice is not something that can be achieved overnight. It requires continuous accumulation and persistence. Every practice is a challenge and improvement for oneself. Only after a long period of hard work can one truly master the skills of dialogue with the Zanpakuto and unleash its maximum potential. In short, Sword Zen training is a long and arduous task, but as long as you persevere, your strength and spiritual pressure will also increase. Captain, can I ask how long it took you to establish communication with the Zanpakuto? Lin Yu asked curiously. He knew that it would take a certain amount of time for each Shinigami to establish a connection with their Zanpakuto, but he didn't know exactly how long it would take. Yunzhai raised the corner of his mouth slightly, revealing a proud smile. It only took me half a month to know the name of the Zanpakuto after I first communicated with it. Isn't that amazing? She puffed up her plump breasts proudly, as if to show her strength to Lin Yu. Lin Yu looked at Yunzhai in surprise, and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. So it turns out that it only took half a month for the captain to establish communication with the Zanpakuto. This speed is too fast. Okay. It's very late today. We're here. Go back and rest. You have to continue training tomorrow. When you come back, I will guide you in the training of the Zanpakuto. Yunzhai began to drive people away. Captain, I'll take my leave now. Lying on his bed, Lin Yu reviewed today's swordsmanship training and understanding of Zanpakuto, and slowly fell asleep. In the dream, Lin Yu came to a palace. The layout of the palace was exactly the same as that of Chinese palaces. The pillars were carved with dragons and phoenixes, and the whole palace was filled with a sense of vicissitudes of life. I saw a man in purple sitting in the main hall. He was as gentle as jade, but his face could not be seen clearly. He seemed to say something to Lin Yu, but he heard nothing. Before Lin Yu could ask any questions, the man in purple picked up the wine glass on the table, saluted him from a distance, and drank it all in one gulp. Chapter 6. Early in the morning in the captain's room of Division 8. Captain, I saw it. I saw my Zanpakuto. Lin Yu grabbed Ba Yunzhai's body and shook it wildly. The big weapon on his chest shook for a while, making people restless. The sleepy-eyed Ba Yunzhai was suddenly awakened by this movement. "You be asterisk 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 D. You dare to eat my tofu, go to hell." Lin Yu was awakened and kicked Ba Yunzhai out of the captain's room, lying quietly on the ground along with the door of the captain's room. The soldiers of the 8th Division heard the loud noise coming from the captain's room and hurried towards the captain's room, thinking that there was some emergency. A young Shinigami and what appeared to be the door to the captain's room appeared in their eyes. The Shinigami had fainted from the look of his condition. Isn't that the Shinigami that the captain brought back a few days ago? That guy's name is Lin Yu, right? Who attacked him? With your words and my words, the soldiers who came were talking about it. After turning his head to look at the captain's room, he saw his own captain standing at the door of the captain's room, with his black hair hanging loosely on his shoulders, his face flushed, but his eyes were on fire. He was wearing only a pair of close-fitting pajamas, and even the color of the underwear under the pajamas was very obvious. Girlfan, this color really matches the captain's personality. The pajamas perfectly set off Ba Yunzhai's figure. He is slender, and the outlines of the pair of large murder weapons are even more obvious. It makes people drool. Why did my eyes suddenly go blind? I didn't see anything. It's early in the morning, bad luck. Why are my damn ears so sharp? I wish I didn't hear anything just now. All the team members looked at this scene, used Shuinpa one after another, showed their strength, and quickly left this place of right and wrong. The speed was so fast that those who didn't know thought that these people who left were captain-level Shinigami. I'm afraid the speed they showed at this time was not far behind that of the real captain. Hole. Lin Yu, I'm going to chop you down. While Ba Yunzhai turned around and went back to the captain's room to get his Zanpakuto, Lin Yu, who was lying on his stomach, instantly got up and ran frantically towards the first team at a sprint speed of 100 meters. In fact, he didn't faint at all. He had witnessed everything just now, and he was just pretending to be faint to save his own life. By the way, Captain Ba Yunzhai has a great figure. Lin Yu ran all the way and soon arrived at the first team. He gasped and adjusted his breathing, while secretly glad that he ran fast. This be asterisk 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 D ran so fast. I just vaguely heard him saying that he saw his Zanpakuto. It's only been one night. It's really surprising. But if you dare to do such a rude thing to me, wait. You must take good care of him when he comes back. Ba Yunzhai, who had already put on his clothes and carried his Zanpakuto, murmured to himself as he looked at the direction where Lin Yu was running, but a blush appeared on his face. Who is here? Shinigami guarding the door shouted loudly. I'm looking for Captain Yamamoto, Lin Yu said quickly. The guards looked at each other, and one of them went in to report. After a while, the man came out and motioned Lin Yu to come in. Lin Yu walked into the room, and Captain Yamamoto was standing in front of the window with his back to him. Captain, Lin Yu saluted. Captain Yamamoto turned around and looked at Lin Yu, with a trace of surprise in his eyes. He smiled slightly and said, Why are you covered in dirt? Lin Yu took a deep breath. I was in a hurry on the way here and accidentally fell down. After hearing this, Captain Yamamoto looked at the obvious footprints on Lin Yu's clothes. He didn't say much, and then said slowly, Kid, today I will teach you how to learn Shuinpa. Captain, aren't you going to learn swordsmanship today? You have already understood the essence of swordsmanship. I have nothing more to teach you. As long as you continue to persevere, one day your swordsmanship will reach great success. Lin Yu was overjoyed and said, Thank you very much, Captain, for the compliment. Shuinpa is a technique to move the body quickly and instantaneously, relying on the control of one's own body. Among the entire Gotei 13, the most outstanding Shuinpa is not only me, but also the captain of the 2nd Division, Shihoin Senhi. The Shihoin family has its own set of Shuinpa skills. In addition to the Shuinpa techniques I want to teach you, I will introduce you to the captain of Sifenjin so that you can learn Sifenjin's unique Shuinpa. Lin Yu, regarding your outstanding performance yesterday, I have high hopes for you. I hope you will not disappoint me and grow up as soon as possible, Captain Yamamoto suddenly said with a heavy face. Thank you, Captain, for your cultivation. I will work hard. Yesterday, when you were practicing swordsmanship, I found that your physical fitness was not strong. In today's Shuinpo practice, I developed a special training method for you. Special training method? Is there any secret to practicing Shuinpa? The special method I'm talking about is that I will draw my sword and chop you. After saying this, the captain smiled ferociously, pulled out his Zanpakuto and slashed at Lin Yu. Bang! Dust was flying in the first team training ground. As expected, Lin Yu was slashed away by Captain Yamamoto with a single blow. Hiss. It really hurts, but there's no bleeding. Lin Yu wailed. Captain, you don't have martial ethics. Come and steal. Come and attack this young man like me. Kid, stand up. I slashed you with the back of my sword. This is a training method specially customized for you. As long as you can avoid or block my slash, you will be considered a master of Shuinpa. In the same way, if you can't block it, you'll be training your ability to fight against attacks, which will quickly improve your physical fitness. It's such a simple and crude training method. Sure enough, the simpler the method, the more effective it is, Lin Yu muttered. He climbed up from the ground with difficulty, moved his body, and found that although it hurt a little from being chopped, he was not injured. It seems that Captain Yamamoto has indeed controlled the intensity. Lin Yu took a deep breath, concentrated, and prepared for the captain's next attack. He knew that if he wanted to improve his strength, he had to go through such training. Moreover, there are not many opportunities for the captain to train in person, and this kind of training method also makes him feel excited and looking forward to it. After all, he has always longed to become stronger and become a truly strong man. As he continued to be chopped and sent flying, Lin Yu gradually adapted to this training method. He began to try different methods to dodge or block Captain Yamamoto's slashes, and also found that his reaction speed and ability to withstand beatings were slowly improving. Every time he was cut away, he would quickly get up, adjust his condition, and join the fight again. Captain Yamamoto always maintained a serious attitude and constantly put pressure on Lin Yu. He knows that only in a high-pressure environment can people's potential be stimulated. After a period of training, Lin Yu's Shuinpa has made significant progress. Not only was he able to dodge Captain Yamamoto's slashes more flexibly, he was even able to successfully block them occasionally. Of course, most of the time they will still be chopped away, but at least they are no longer as helpless as they were at the beginning. Kid, go back. Today is over here. We will continue practicing tomorrow. Today's practice is finally over. After being beaten for a day, I am exhausted both physically and mentally. Captain, that... Lin Yu hesitated. Kid, if you have something to say, just say it. Can I stay in the first team today? Tell me your reasons. Well, Captain, I accidentally offended Captain Ba Yunzhai this morning. If I go back now, she might draw a knife and hack me to death. I want to hide in the first team for a few days. I will go back after Captain Ba Yunzhai calms down. Haha. You little brat. What did you do that would make Ba Yunzhai draw his sword and chop you? Well, then you can stay here and I will ask someone to go to Ba Yunzhai to let you know when you're training. He was injured by me, so he will rest in the first team for the time being. Thank you, Captain. Seeing that it was getting dark and Lin Yu hadn't come back yet, Ba Yunzhai was about to go to the first team to catch this kid back. Suddenly, the messenger from the first team came and told her that Lin Yu was practicing today when she was injured. She stayed in the first team so that she didn't have to worry about herself. Damn you, brat. You dare to use the captain as a shield. I don't believe you will never come back to the 8th Division again. Just wait. When you come back and I don't beat you until you can't take care of yourself, I won't call you Shikatori Bakumo. Zhai. Ba Yunzhai was so angry that he gritted his teeth, clenched his fists, and swore secretly. Achio. Achio. Lin Yu sneezed twice in a row while lying on the bed. Could it be that Captain Ba Yunzhai missed me? You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 7. Come again. Bang. The sound of two swords striking each other kept coming. After several days of practice, Lin Yu was no longer in a passive state of being beaten. Although the number of hits was still high, he was gradually able to fight back and forth with the captain. Kid, you have made great progress. Shuinpa and physical fitness have improved a lot, the captain said with appreciation. Lin Yu smiled. Thank you, Captain, for the compliment, but compared with you, I'm still far behind. The captain laughed. Kid, don't be humble. With your current strength, you can already take charge of your own business. By the way, what do you want from me? Lin Yu said seriously. Captain, I would like to apply for a few days of leave. Now I feel that my swordsmanship has reached a bottleneck. I am going to go to Rukongai to sharpen my soul and completely make my swordsmanship into a human swordsmanship, the state of oneness. The captain nodded. Well, your idea is good. But Rukongai is not an easy place to mess around. There is a mixture of fish and dragons there, and various forces are complicated. You should deal with it carefully. Lin Yu said confidently. Don't worry, Captain. I will pay attention to safety. And I believe that this trip to Rukongai will definitely take my swordsmanship to a higher level. The captain said with satisfaction. Okay, I have approved your request. With your current level of swordsmanship and Shuinpa, there is no problem in self-protection. I hope that when you come back from your travels, your swordsmanship has reached the point of entering the palace. Lin Yu said gratefully. Thank you, Captain. I will definitely live up to your expectations. Then I'll resign. After saying that, Lin Yu turned around and left. Wait a minute, kid. The captain suddenly called him. The captain is really a fickle person. Did he change his mind about what he just promised? Seeing Lin Yu's sad expression, Captain Yamamoto didn't think of anything. Lin Yu turned back with a stiff face. Is there anything else, Captain? The captain smiled and said, I haven't issued you a pass to enter the Siriidii yet. Otherwise, how will you come back after you go out? Ah, I almost forgot about this. Lin Yu's expression changed instantly. Oops, that speed is comparable to that of a face-changing master. And let me remind you again, when you arrive at Rukongai, don't cause trouble casually. If you encounter dangers that are difficult to deal with, you must send a rescue signal to the Gotei 13 team in a timely manner. Lin Yu said movedly, Thank you, Captain, for your concern. I will remember it. Today is a good day. Everything you wish for can come true. Lin Yu, holding the pass, went out humming a tune. In fact, when Lin Yu traveled to Siriidii, he not only wanted to practice swordsmanship, but also to hide from Yunzhai. Yunzhai has come to the first team several times, although he has been blocked by the captain every time. But there are also times when the captain is away, and if he can't protect himself, he will be dragged out and chopped by Yunzhai one day. Don't think about it so much. Rukongai, here I come. On the first day I was born in Soul Society, I was taken to the Siriidii by Captain Hokunsai. I had not experienced the scenery of Rukongai yet, so I had to take a good stroll before going back this time. The last time I entered the Siriidii, I came from the Kurii, North Gate. This time, let's go out from the White Road, West Gate. When I watched the anime before, Kurosaki, Ichigo and his group always walked through the White Gate every time they entered the Siriidii. Way Gate, I just happened to go and get to know Arisaka Dambwa. Speaking of which, people in the Shinigami world have really long lifespans. It's still more than 1,000 years before the main storyline of Shinigami begins, and the White Way Gate is already guarded by the Dambwa. It's really possible to live. Stop comers. Tell us your purpose. A burly figure appeared in front of the White Way Gate. You are Si Danfong, right? I am Lin Yu from the 8th Division. I have a mission to go to Rukongai. This is the captain's order. It turns out it's Shinigami-sama who is on a mission to Rukongai. I'll open the White Way Gate right away. Thank you, Si Danfong. Also, I'm not an adult. I'm just an ordinary Shinigami. Just call me Lin Yu. Okay, Master Lin Yu. Si Danfong still looked very cautious. It seems that it will be impossible to correct him for a while, and he will not be so cautious when he has more contact with him in the future. Rumble with the opening of the White Way Gate. Lin Yu walked out of the Siriidii. The first thing you need to do after leaving the Siriidii is to control your own spiritual pressure. In the Siriidii, they are all Shinigami. The escaped spiritual pressure has no effect on the Shinigami. However, it is different in Rukongai. After all, ordinary souls, but it cannot withstand the shock of Shinigami's spiritual pressure. The escaped spiritual pressure will cause the soul to be injured at least, and will cause the soul to die directly at worst. Just as Lin Yu started his journey in Rukongai. Is Lin Yu here? I'm here to take him back to the 8th Division. Yunzhai persevered, and came to the 1st Division again. Captain Yunzhai, Lin Yu has applied to travel to Rukongai. A team member said helplessly. Captain Yunzhai really cares about his subordinates. What? When did he go? He just went out for a while. Damn B****************** D. You actually went to Rukongai to hide from me. Do you know which door he went out through? Yunzhai gritted his teeth in anger. I don't know that. Forget it. I'll go find him myself. Why do you think Bonsai doesn't need a pass to leave the Siriidii? Please, she is the captain. The bosses have the authority to enter and leave the Siriidii. Okay? After searching 2 doors, Yunzhai finally got the news that Lin Yu was out at the White Way Gate. Lin Yu shuttled among the crowd in Rakongai. It's so lively. Siriidii doesn't smell like fireworks. For Soul Society, Rakongai is actually the main one. As the political and military center, Siriidii has only a minority of personnel. Now that we're out, let's go and experience the wonderful scenery of Soul Society. Suddenly, a powerful spiritual pressure came from a village behind him, and Lin Yu instinctively held down his Zanpakuto. This spiritual pressure really gives people an uncomfortable feeling. It's heavy and depressing. Lin Yu turned his head and looked at the direction where the spiritual pressure came from, and saw a black crack suddenly appeared in the sky. The powerful spiritual pressure sweeping out from the cracks. At the same time, a large face wearing a mask with a long nose poked out from the crack. Lin Yu's pupils shrank. This huge body, this iconic shape, turned out to be a Jillian. Although Jillian Daxu is the lowest existence among the biggest hollows and has a low IQ, he is also a genuine Daxu. Damn it, I just got lucky. As soon as I came out, I met a big head. After weighing the Zanpakuto, Lin Yu decided to have a chance to touch this Daxu and use it to measure his current strength. I have been practicing, but I haven't really made a move yet. Lin Yu immediately released his spiritual pressure, preparing to attract this big Su. Compared with ordinary souls, Su prefers to devour Shinigami with spiritual pressure. The more they swallow, the faster they evolve. I am so kind. In order to save the ordinary souls in the village, I lured Daxu here alone and rewarded myself with a good person card. How shameless, oh, 2A. Lin Yu held the sword in both hands and looked firmly at Daxu in front of him. My spiritual pressure has now been raised to the 6th level, and I have studied swordsmanship and Shuinpa with Captain Yamamoto for such a long time. It shouldn't be possible to kill Jillian alone. Question. Lin Yu took a deep breath, full of confidence. Lin Yu suddenly drew his sword, and with a whoosh sound piercing the air, his figure instantly disappeared from the place. The next moment, he appeared in front of the big void like a ghost. Without any hesitation, Lin Yu waved the Zanpakuto in his hand and slashed towards Daxu. However, Daxu's reaction speed is also quite fast. It roared and quickly stretched out its huge claws, easily blocking Lin Yu's attack. Only a crisp sound of dang was heard, and the two collided, causing a splash of sparks. Interesting, Shinigami. You came to my door before I even laid a hand on you. In that case, let me devour you. Daxu let out a low roar, with a greedy light shining in his eyes. It opened its bloody mouth and prepared to swallow Lin Yu in one gulp. Lin Yu sideways dodged Daxu's attack, and at the same time slashed at Daxu's leg with his knife. But Daxu's skin was as hard as iron, and the Zanpakuto only left a shallow scar on its surface. When Daxu saw this, it became even more angry. It rushed towards Lin Yu crazily, and Lin Yu kept using Shuinpa to dodge, looking for opportunities to fight back. Lin Yu took out his knife again and slashed Su's body. No, this touch felt like cutting into the air. Daxu's figure disappeared out of thin air. Lin Yu instantly turned around and blocked Zanpaku in front of him. Daxu's figure suddenly appeared behind him and slapped Lin Yu away with a claw. Impossible. It's actually a ring. Lin Yu, who flew out, had not yet reacted. A huge red flash began to condense in Daxu's mouth, and the flash went straight towards Lin Yu. F***K, Void Flash. Misjudgment. This is a big void that is about to evolve into a Chukas, not an ordinary Jillian. Lin Yu adjusted his posture in the air, and after landing, he rolled several times to relieve his strength. Boom, the virtual flash hit Lin Yu directly, and was blown away as soon as he landed. After breaking an unknown number of trees, he finally stopped. Puff, a mouthful of blood spurted out, and the Death Tyrant costume on his body became tattered. Lin Yu, who struggled to get up, looked at Daxu in the distance and felt unprecedented pressure. This is going to be difficult. Maybe I'll explain it here. Lin Yu thought with a frown. It's pretty good, Shinigami. You survived such an attack. You deserve to know my name. Listen up. The one who killed you is Razak, a man who is about to become Yachuka's great existence. Lazak turned around and bullied him again, preparing to finish off Lin Yu completely. Facing this blow, Lin Yu concentrated his energy and released all his spiritual pressure without reservation. Suddenly, the surrounding air seemed to become solemn. If you try hard, you may die here today. Lin Yu also gripped the Zanpakuto and rushed towards Daxu. His speed is extremely fast, like lightning. A few rays of blue light also appeared on the Zanpakuto's blade, as if it was roaring like thunder. This time Lin Yu was already prepared. With his keen insight, he predicted the position of Daxu and slashed towards the void. In an instant, blood splattered everywhere. Lin Yu's body was cut with a large gash by Lei Zak's sharp claws, and Daxu's body was chopped off at the waist and fell to the ground. Looking at the stunned look on Ryzak's face, which was slowly dissipating, Lin Yu endured the pain and said with a smile, Lei Zak, right? The one who killed you was Shinigami Lin Yu. He is destined to become the greatest captain in Soul Society in the future. Lin Yu panted heavily, looking at Daxu that turned into nothingness, and his heart was filled with a sense of accomplishment. Hiss. Hurts. He glanced at the hideous wound on his chest, and blood was still pouring out. It's really embarrassing, but I finally survived, Lin Yu said to himself. At this time, Lin Yu suddenly felt tired. He realized that the battle just now had almost exhausted his physical strength and spiritual pressure. I have to find a place to recover quickly. Lin Yu dragged his tired body and was about to leave, but his head felt dizzy and he fell to the ground. In a dazed state, Lin Yu seemed to hear the voice of Captain Ba Yunzhai. Is it an auditory hallucination? Why is Ba Yunzhai here? At the moment when he fainted, Lin Yu seemed to really see Ba Yunzhai running towards him. Then he seemed to be picked up by someone, with his head still leaning on something soft and smelling good. Yu unconsciously pushed her head inward. It was so comfortable. You be asterisk 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 D. You're so seriously injured, and you're still acting like a hooligan. I'll chop you down when you recover. Ba Yunzhai rushed towards Siriidii with Lin Yu, who was already unconscious, in his arms. It's just that the picture is too inconsistent. Ba Yunzhai is already petite, and holding the tall Lin Yu, with Lin Yu's head buried in Ba Yunzhai's chest, is really eye-catching. In fact, Ba Yunzhai noticed it when Lin Yu and Daxu were fighting. After all, it was difficult not to attract attention when such a powerful spiritual pressure burst out in Rakangai, not to mention that she was very familiar with Lin Yu's spiritual pressure. When Ba Yunzhai arrived, he happened to see Lin Yu killing Daxu, but he was also seriously injured and fainted. The day passed like this. Lin Yu slowly opened his eyes and found himself in the captain's room of the 8th Division. He tried to sit up, but felt a sharp pain in his chest. What are you moving about? Your injury is not healed yet. Ba Yunzhai's voice came. Lin Yu looked up and saw Ba Yunzhai. Remembering what happened after he fainted, he glanced at the milky white shuezi and couldn't help but blush, but it was so soft. I really miss that feeling. You were lucky this time. If it were a normal Shinigami, I'm afraid you would have died a long time ago. That is the Daxu that is about to evolve into Yachukas, Ba Yunzhai said sternly. Seeing Lin Yu's eyes falling on his chest again, Ba Yunzhai punched Lin Yu in the head again. Asterisk asterisk hole. It hurts, it hurts. I'm a wounded person, Captain. However, Lin Yu still said gratefully, thank you. Ba Yunzhai. I will pay attention to it next time. Please call me Captain Ba Yunzhai. Ba Yunzhai suddenly blushed, and his voice rose 8 degrees. Don't let it happen again. By the way, about that big Sue. I have reported it to Captain Yamamoto, and he will take care of it. Just take good care of your injuries, Ba Yunzhai said and handed Lin Yu a document. This is your mission report. I have written it for you and handed it in. Central 46 spoke highly of your act of killing Daxu alone, and I have decided to make an exception and promote you to deputy captain after you recover. Have you alerted Central 46? But I haven't even learned Shirkai yet, so can I be promoted to vice captain? That was a big void that was about to evolve into a Chukas. You killed it alone. Do you think you killed some small character? Besides, it was an exceptional promotion. Exceptional? It doesn't matter if you don't know Shirkai yet. Lin Yu immediately showed a surprised look, and then turned to joy. Thank you, Ba Yunzhai. I will work hard. Ba Yunzhai looked at Lin Yu. A trace of panic flashed in his eyes. You performed very well this time, but you must also protect yourself. I don't want you to have any accidents again. Lin Yu nodded, secretly determined in his heart to become stronger and never let Ba Yunzhai worry again. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 8. Ba Yunzhai, I think I have recovered. Can you remove the bandage? Lin Yu, who had just been fed a large bowl of broth by Ba Yunzhai, spoke. He looked at the bandages all over his body, tied like a dumpling, and felt helpless. These days, he has been treated as a seriously injured patient, but in fact, his body has already recovered as before. Oh, Lin Yu, are you really okay? Yunzhai had a little distrust in his eyes. She looked at Lin Yu carefully, as if she wanted to find a flaw in his expression. However, Lin Yu's face was filled with determination and confidence. In fact, all this is Yunzhai's calculation. She deliberately bandaged Lin Yu so tightly just to let him taste the feeling of being restrained. After all, Lin Yu always disobeyed her before. This time, she wanted to teach this disobedient DA lesson. Thinking of the previous attack on the chest, Yunzhai pinched the flesh of Lin Yu's waist with his hands and rotated it 180 degrees. It hurts. Yunzhai, please let go. Lin Yu broke out in cold sweat from the pain. Woman, you really hold a grudge. It seems you're not healed yet. Yunzhai looked at Lin Yu with a smile. Faced with Yunzhai's doubts, Lin Yu felt dumbfounded. He knew that Yunzhai was deliberately trying to embarrass him, but he was not angry. Instead, he thought Yunzhai was cute like this. Finally, at Lin Yu's strong request, Yunzhai removed the bandages on his body. When the bandages were untied layer by layer, Lin Yu felt unprecedentedly relaxed. He moved his limbs and found that his body had completely returned to normal. After half a month of recuperation, Lin Yu finally got rid of the bandage that was tied like rice dumplings. During this period, although he could not move freely, he still enjoyed the meticulous care of Yunzhai. This feeling of being cared for made him feel very warm. In fact, Lin Yu's injury was not that serious. It was mainly due to exhaustion of spiritual pressure and loss of strength. However, Yunzhai turned him into a dumpling and never cared about his life. Although this kind of life is very comfortable, Lin Yu still feels very uncomfortable when he lies in bed for a long time and cannot move. In the first few days, Lin Yu felt quite enjoying it. He doesn't have to do anything, he just needs to rest in peace and recuperate. But as time went by, he gradually became bored. He could only lie in bed and stare at the ceiling in a daze every day, which was simply a kind of torture for him. Now, Lin Yu can finally move freely again. He stretched and felt the strength of his body gradually return. Why don't you ask the 4th Division to treat you with Kaido when you're injured? Come on, the concept of Kaido didn't even exist in the Gotei 13,000s of years ago. The 4th Division only became a medical team after the battle with the Quincy. I'm finally liberated. After lying down for so long, I'd better go see Captain Yamamoto first. Lin Yu, who broke free, talked to Yunzhai and ran away quickly. Yunzhai didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I let you go, but you are still afraid that I will bring you back again. Vice Captain Lin Yu. On the way to the first team, the Shinigami who saw Lin Yu greeted him warmly. It seems that the fact that he killed the one who was about to evolve into a Chuka's Daxu has been spread throughout the Seriidii. Now I am no longer a little Karami. I have been in the Shinigami world for so long, and I finally have some ability to protect myself. Captain, I'm here to report again. Kid, you performed very well. You can kill a Daxu of this level with only swordsmanship and Shuinpa. I have been teaching you for a long time, but your Shurkai learning process should be accelerated. As for Kido with white hits, learn slowly. I understand, Captain. Lin Yu saluted. You came to me this time not just to report, right? Yamamoto Yuanzhongwa was very perceptive and saw through Lin Yu's thoughts at once. Hey, Captain Ingming, I just wanted to ask about Shurkai. Lin Yu scratched his head. I feel like I should be able to Shurkai soon. Yamamoto Shigekuni glanced at him. Oh, have you reached the threshold of Shurkai? Regarding Shurkai, Bonsai should have told you in detail. Lin Yu nodded. Captain Yunzhai did tell me the principles and methods of Shurkai in detail. Before that, I had seen what seemed to be my Zanpakuto materializing in my sleep, and this time within the battle between Daxu, I was originally at a disadvantage. In the end, my Zanpakuto showed a hint of liberating power, and I was able to kill that guy. But it was a blessing in disguise, and my spiritual pressure level also broke through to the 5th level. Tell me in detail what you saw in your sleep and how you killed Daxu. Captain Yamamoto also became interested after hearing this. Lin Yu described to the captain the scene he saw in his sleep and the blue light emerging from the Zanpakuto blade and the faint thunderous roar that finally killed Daxu. It seems that Lin Yu, your Zanpakuto, is of the thunder type. The lightning type Zanpakuto is very lethal. Based on what you said, you are now just one step away from successfully communicating with the Zanpakuto before you learn Shurkai. So, in your current situation, you have reached the 5th level before you have mastered Shurkai spiritual pressure. After Shurkai, Your combat power should be comparable to that of an average captain. Well, there is one more thing. Captain Yamamoto paused. I heard that your relationship with Captain Bonsai was a little abnormal? After you were injured, Bonsai carried you and rushed back to Siriidii. But there are many Shinigami. See, the previous Ba Yunzhai would never have been so intimate with any Shinigami. Lin Yu's heart skipped a beat. Does the captain even care about such a thing? Yes, captain. Lin Yu answered bravely. I don't want to interfere with your young people's affairs, but don't affect your work. If I find that you delayed the mission due to personal feelings, don't forget the nature of the Gotei 13. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Yamamoto, the captain warned. Yes, I promise not, Captain. Lin Yu quickly agreed. Actually, it's good that you and Ba Yunzhai can be together. This is a happy event for the Gotei 13. Lin Yu, come on. When you and Ba Yunzhai get married, I will personally be your witness, Captain Yamamoto said. He said this with a serious face. Captain, where are you now? You haven't even said your horoscope yet. It seems that the captain also has some potential for comedy. After Lin Yu left the first team, he went directly to Ba Yunzhai. He had so many questions to ask her, about Shirkai, about her relationship with him. After Lin Yu returned to the 8th Division, Ba Yunzhai. Lin Yu stood in front of Ba Yunzhai, a little nervous. Ba Yunzhai looked at him, with a hint of imperceptible tenderness flashing in his eyes. What's wrong, Lin Yu? My Shirkai. How can I do it? Lin Yu gate of opening came to the point. Ba Yunzhai smiled slightly. Don't worry, you are very close. Try to feel your Zanpakuto and listen to its name. It will guide you. Lin Yu nodded, closed his eyes, concentrated, and practiced Sword Zen again. After a moment, he seemed to hear a faint thunder, which came from deep inside his heart. Is this my Zanpakuto? Lin Yu opened his eyes, with a firm light shining in his eyes. Ba Yunzhai looked at him and nodded with satisfaction. Yes, that's it. You have taken the first step. Lin Yu glanced at Ba Yunzhai gratefully. Thank you, Ba Yunzhai. Between us, we don't need to be so polite. Ba Yunzhai's tone was a little strange, and she turned her head. By the way, from now on, be more careful in front of others. Lin Yu was stunned for a moment, then understood what she meant. He smiled awkwardly. I know, Captain Ba Yunzhai. Chapter 9. I still haven't successfully communicated with the Zanpakuto. I have been practicing sword meditation for several days. Lin Yu felt a little irritable. Take your time. Sword Zen requires meditation. Your impatient mentality will not succeed. Ba Yunzhai comforted Lin Yu. Hey, let's eat hot pot first. Ever since Lin Yu made hot pot for Ba Yunzhai fell in love with this delicacy. He eats hot pot at least 4 days a week. The spicy hot pot is accompanied by order some wine. It's really an enviable day. As a result, the members of the 8th Division now live this kind of life. I am very grateful to Deputy Captain Lin Yu for inventing the delicacy of hot pot. Cheers. Lin Yu held the cup and started drinking with Ba Yunzhai. Ba Yunzhai, let's have a captain's party sometime. It's just the two of us eating hot pot, and it feels so deserted. Food should be shared. Take the time to invite the commander-in-chief is having hot pot with other squad captains, and I just want to get to know these captains. Your suggestion is good. It's time for you to get to know the captains of other divisions. Lin Yu, please work hard and learn Shirkai. We will have a sorority party on the day you can succeed in Shirkai. During this period, Lin Yu studied Kido and White Hits with Captain Yamamoto in the 1st Division during the day, and returned to the 8th Division at night to continue practicing Sword Zen. He felt exhausted both physically and mentally. Let's continue the sword meditation. Lin Yu entered a state of trance again. Perhaps because he had a few drinks today, the sword meditation went particularly smoothly. You're finally here. A voice sounded in Lin Yu's ears. In an instant, Lin Yu came to the palace he saw in his dream last time. The man was sitting on the throne of the main hall. Last time, Lin Yu didn't take a closer look. There were traces of lightning wrapped around the pillars of the main hall. The dome of the main hall was still transparent. He raised his head. Looking up, the sky is full of stars above the dome, and the man on the throne is dressed in purple, looking extremely mysterious. This time Lin Yu finally saw the man's face clearly. The man was about 30 years old, with a resolute face. He was sitting on the throne without any movement, but he felt a pressure coming towards his face. Sit down. Do you want a drink? The man in purple waved his hand, and a table appeared in front of Lin Yu. Are you my Zanpakuto? Lin Yu asked, sitting down cross-legged and taking a sip from the wine glass. Zanpakuto? Interesting name, you can think so. After all, you can use my power. The man in purple thought about it. Then I have your approval. Can you tell me your name? If I get your approval, I can Shirkai. Lin Yu asked eagerly. Don't worry, Lin Yu. What do you think my power is? The man in purple asked with a smile. Your power? If I guessed correctly, it should be the power of thunder. Lin Yu looked at the thunder that appeared from time to time in the hall and gave his answer. That's right. I do have the power of thunder. As for my name, the man in purple thought for a while. Just call me Thunder Emperor. Let's call you Lady. Do you have any other names? Lin Yu asked Lady dissatisfied. Okay, this exchange is over. As for the Shirkai you mentioned, you can master it after you go out. Go back. If you want to see me again, just call my name in your heart, and you will see me again. After Lady said this, he drove Lin Yu back. Hey, Thunder Emperor, I still have a lot of things to ask you. Before he could finish speaking, Lin Yu returned to reality. Really? You are driving people away in such a hurry. Forget it. I will do it next time. Ask clearly. After waking up from the sword Zen state, Lin Yu opened his eyes and a flash of thunder flashed in his eyes. The spiritual pressure in his body suddenly increased sharply, from the 5th level to the 4th level, and then from the 4th level to the 3rd level, and it is still there. There is an upward trend. No, it's so outrageous. Is my spiritual pressure going to break into the 2nd level? Facts have proved that Lin Yu thought too much, and his spiritual pressure gradually stabilized and stopped when it climbed to the 3rd level peak. When Lin Yu's spiritual pressure was rising crazily, Yunzhai immediately rushed into Lin Yu's room. Lin Yu, you have learned Shirkai. Did your spiritual pressure escape after Shirkai just now? No, I did learn Shirkai, but I haven't released the Zanpakuto yet. My own spiritual pressure just increased. After listening to Lin Yu's words, Yunzhai looked like he'd seen a ghost. You're lying. You mean you've reached the peak of the 3rd level before you've released your Zanpakuto's spiritual pressure? You're a monster, right? It's really too much. It hits people. You said you have mastered Shirkai, then show me your Shirkai. I want to know how outrageous your spiritual pressure will be after you Shirkai. Yunzhai couldn't wait for Lin Yu to perform Shirkai as soon as possible. After Lin Yu followed Yunzhai to the training ground of the 8th team, under the starry sky, thunder shakes the 9 heavens, and the thunder of the gods kills gods and demons. Liberate, Thunder Emperor Sword. As Lin Yu read out the Zanpakuto's liberation spirit, the shape of the Zanpakuto in his hand also changed. The Zanpakuto turned into a simple Chinese-style long sword. The sword body showed a deep purple color, and the sword body was engraved with thunder and lightning patterns, shining with silver-purple light. The hilt is made of star meteorite, inlaid with a thunder stone that can gather the power of thunder and lightning, and a mysterious rune is carved on the end of the hilt. The scabbard is decorated with purple and gold, and the scabbard is engraved with patterns of stars in the sky. Is this your Zanpakuto, Lin Yu? The power of the Royal Thunderbolt is really chilling. Yunzhai was stunned. After liberation, Lin Yu's spiritual pressure instantly reached the 2nd level, and the powerful aura shocked even Siriidii. At this moment, several figures rushed over like lightning, their bodies exuding suffocating spiritual pressure. The captain and the captains of other divisions of the Gotei 13 arrived one after another. It's amazing. I thought who was Bankai in the Siriidii. The captain of the 2nd division, Shifuan Senhi, said in amazement. This kid is worthy of the name of a genius. He learned Shirkai so quickly, and judging from the spiritual pressure, he is now qualified to fight captain-level beings. If he masters Bankai in the future, maybe he can really reach my level. Realm. Captain Yamamoto couldn't help but express his heartfelt emotion. Lin Yu, put your liberation away. The captain looked around and said slowly, Yes, Captain. Upon hearing this, Lin Yu immediately put away the liberated state of his Zanpakuto, and his violent spiritual pressure also returned to calm. Originally, I planned to wait for Lin Yu to learn Shirkai, and invite the captain and other captains to come to our 8th division for a social gathering so that he could get to know everyone. I didn't expect that this kid's Shirkai would make such a big fuss. I'm really sorry. Yunzhai explained with a smile. After hearing Yunzhai's words, everyone smiled knowingly. Although Lin Yu's Shirkai caused quite a stir, such things are not uncommon for these captain-level beings. However, after understanding Lin Yu's origin and training time, they were amazed by Lin Yu's potential and strength, and they were full of expectations for this young Shinigami. Bonsai, you really have picked up a real genius for our Gotei 13 team. Saito, the captain of the 6th division who was close to Bonsai, said with a smile. Okay, don't talk so much now, go to my captain's room. Lin Yu and I will entertain you well, and it won't be too late for everyone to praise this kid. Yunzhai led the captains of each team from the front. Lin Yu walked at the end of the crowd and walked to the captain's room of the 8th Division. Chapter 10. In the deep and quiet night of Soul Society, the 8th Division was brightly lit, and an impromptu sorority party was being held. During the day, Lin Yu used a powerful shurikai to alarm the captains of the Gotei 13th Division. Zhai was planning to hold a banquet for the captains of each division after Lin Yu learned shurikai. Who knew he would make such a big fuss? After the captains of each division arrived, Yunzhai proposed to hold a banquet. It was also to celebrate Lin Yu's acquisition of shurikai. Cheers, Lin Yu. This delicacy you invented is really delicious. What are you thinking in your head? I really want to take slices of your brain and study it, blah blah blah. Chapter 12. The captain of the team, the concubine of Shandingji Temple, spoke while eating. Are all the people in Division 12 crazy? There shouldn't be a technology development bureau established yet. They all like to study this and that. Lin Yu's hand suddenly froze while he was toasting. If you don't know how to speak, shut up and eat your flesh. Captain Ohana Danjiro of the 5th Division said unceremoniously to the concubine of Zenjoji Temple. Captain Ohana really doesn't understand humor. Humor. Fart humor. Then the two captains started fighting each other. When Lin Yu was still worried about the two captains quarreling, Yunzhai pulled him and whispered, "Leave them alone. These two have been bickering for hundreds of years. Just get used to it, everyone." Captain Yamamoto spoke. The captains all sat upright, waiting for the captain's instructions. Well, there's no need to be so serious. The Gotei 13 hasn't been so festive for a long time. Today is a happy day thanks to Yunzhai's invitation and Lin Yu's invention of hot pot. Let's have a drink together. The captains who thought the captain was going to say something to maintain the peace of Soul Society and the glory of the Gotei 13 all laughed out loud. It seems that the captain is also very happy today. Lin Yu hurriedly toasted to the captain again. Shinigami's lifespan is very long. In this still slightly chaotic era, the captains spend most of their time performing tasks everywhere, and their lives are very ordinary. Although the captains of the Gotei 13 are here, they are considered corpses, the top combat power in the soul world, but there is also the risk of falling. Troubled times, a fascinating but dangerous era. Survival of the fittest. The cruelty of evolution is unabashedly reflected at this moment. It's not easy to sit together and have such a happy gathering. Amid laughter, everyone raised their glasses. Lin Yu looked at these respectable captains and felt a warmth in his heart. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 flavors of food, the captains began to chat. They talked about their experiences and shared interesting stories from the battle. By the way, Lin Yu, Captain Yamamoto suddenly looked at him. Now that you have learned shurikai, it's time to take on your responsibilities as a Shinigami. Under the protection of Yunzhai, I will be very important to your growth. Say it's disadvantageous? Lin Yu was stunned for a moment, then said firmly, I understand, Captain. I will use this power to protect the order of Soul Society and protect the people around me. After learning Kido and White Hits, I am going to go to Hueco Mundo, further hone your shurikai and prepare for your own practice. Captain Yamamoto nodded with satisfaction. Very good. I like you, Lin Yu. At this time, a breeze blew by, bringing with it a bit of coolness. But in this lively atmosphere, everyone's heart is full of hope and fighting spirit. Captain Saito, who was slightly drunk, leaned towards Lin Yu and said with a smile on his face, Lin Yu, how far have you and Yunzhai developed? I heard about your injury before. Yunzhai carried you all the way back to Siri and kept guarding you when you were unconscious. It's not common for her to look anxious. It's nothing, Captain Saito. Yunzhai is just caring about his subordinates. We have nothing to do with it. Lin Yu argued with a red neck. Captain Saito, you drank too much. Yeah. I heard something, Hachi Yun, Jaida. Captain Saito read out word by word. It has reached such an intimate level. Lin Yu, besides Mr. Captain, I and Unohana. If anyone in the Gotei 13 dares to call her by her name, she would have already stabbed someone, right? Yachiru. It's true, Xiao Lin Yu. Captain Uzihua looked at Saito kindly, as if he was dissatisfied with dragging her into the water. Captain Saito, you must have drunk too much. I was talking about Captain Yunzhai just now. Lin Yu was still making a weak defense. You're not shy, are you? Xiao Lin Yu, how about I get Yunzhai drunk tonight, Saito was still teasing Lin Yu with a smirk on his face. I don't know if it was because of drunkenness or shyness, but Lin Yu's face was like a monkey's but extremely red. Hey, You too. Stop bullying Lin Yu. If you keep talking, I will chop you with a knife. Maybe it's because he drank too much, but Ba Yunzhai, who usually rarely speaks, also spoke secretly. When they got up, the three of them argued over the topic of Lin Yu and became blushing and thick-necked. I'm not talking about your Lin Yu. If you quarrel with Saito, don't rely on me. When Ba Yunzhai and Saito were having a heated argument, Mao Zihua suddenly interrupted. I can't bear it. I can't bear it. I want to duel with you. Draw your swords, Saito, Yachiru. Either I will hack you two to death today, or you will hack me to death. Come on. Lin Yu hurriedly hugged Ba Yunzhai and said, Calm down, Ba Yunzhai. You drank too much. If you have anything to do, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Be obedient. Let me go. I will chop these two nonsense bastards to death. Ba Yunzhai, who was hugged by Lin Yu, was still struggling. Hey. Saito and Unohana expressed disdain at the same time. You two just act. I'll be here to watch how long you act. Saito didn't forget to hit the target. An angry woman is really scary. This thought came to the captain who was watching the battle and watching the fun. As the fight ended, the captain started drinking again. The glasses were exchanged, and the time soon reached late at night. The captains of each team also said goodbye. The time for gathering was always short. After a while, Lin Yu and Ba Yunzhai were left in the 8th team. Lin Yu, talk to me. What kind of person do you think I am? The drunken Ba Yunzhai looked at the man he picked up from Rukongai. The first person I met when I first arrived in Soul Society was you. At first, I just thought you were a powerful Shinigami. You brought me to Siri just because you took a fancy to my talent. After getting along with you these days, I feel you are a gentle person, and I can't tell whether I like you or not. Captain, what do you think? Lin Yu turned to look at Ba Yunzhai beside him. I don't know when. Ba Yunzhai fell asleep. Really, I don't know if you heard what I just said. Looking at Ba Yunzhai sleeping soundly, Lin Yu accidentally pinched her cheek, which was soft and warm. Ba Yunzhai subconsciously grabbed Lin Yu's hand and leaned against him. You look so cute like this. Lin Yu drank a few more drinks alone. The night breeze blew from outside the open door of the captain's room. The sleepiness came with the drunkenness. Lin Yu fell asleep next to Ba Yunzhai. Chapter 11. Really, the captain and the deputy captain don't know how to restrain themselves. A member of the 8th Division who was patrolling early in the morning covered his face with his hands when he passed the captain's room. The door to the captain's room of the 8th Division was opened, and Ba Yunzhai and Lin Yu were lying on the ground, sleeping soundly. After gently closing the door to the captain's room, the patrolling soldiers quickly fled the area. Well, I haven't had such a comfortable sleep in a long time. Ba Yunzhai, who was about to stretch out, suddenly found that he couldn't stretch his hands. After opening his hazy eyes, he found himself lying in Lin Yu's arms and looking around. After a moment, the door closed. After confirming that there was no one else in the captain's room, he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, no one saw it. It's really embarrassing. After waking up, Ba Yunzhai moved his body and tried to break free from Lin Yu's arms. Don't move, Ba Yunzhai. Sleep well. Ba Yunzhai was startled when he heard Lin Yu's voice. Fortunately, I was talking in my sleep. Ba Yunzhai pushed Lin Yu with his hand and found that he had no reaction. Sneaking out of Lin Yu's arms, he quietly escaped from his captain's room. When Lin Yu woke up, it was already 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, my head hurts? If I had known, I wouldn't have drank so much last night. Where did Ba Yunzhai go? Let's go to the first team first. We still have to learn Keto and white hits. Time is really tight. Lin Yu explained to the team members on duty and hurried to the first team. Oh, it came so fast. I thought you would take a day off. Before Lin Yu could say anything, Captain Yamamoto directly handed him 3 books: Keto Spell Encyclopedia, White Hits Techniques, Notes on Hueco Mundo. These are some books I wrote. Read it yourself. Also, don't die in Hueco Mundo. Hey, what's going on? The captain is really perfunctory. Lin Yu was sent back not long after he arrived at the first team. Lin Yu, please pay attention to safety in Hueco Mundo. This is not a Rukongai tour. If something happens, no one can save you. I will wait for you to come back and eat hot pot. Ba Yunzhai explained with seriousness. I got it. Just wait for me to come back with peace of mind. Lin Yu pulled out his Zanpakuto, opened the black cavity, and embarked on the journey to Hueco Mundo. After passing through the black cavity, Lin Yu finally stepped into Hueco Mundo. As far as the eye can see, the surroundings are desolate, with no streets and no buildings, only a white desert-like desolate ground and dead trees everywhere. A moon hangs in the black sky, stars are shining, and there is no day in Hueco Mundo, only night. The environment is really incompatible with Soul Society. The only advantage is that the concentration of spirit particles in Hueco Mundo's atmosphere is much higher than that in Soul Society, and my strength can be greatly improved. While Lin Yu was still sighing, a Su rushed towards him. For the spirit child in Hueco Mundo, the taste of Shinigami is much better. After pulling out his Zanpakuto to deal with the attacking hollow, Lin Yu suddenly ran into trouble. Hueco Mundo is so big that he has no items that he can locate, and he doesn't know where he is now. Furthermore, fighting these ordinary virtual beings has no sharpening effect at all. Let's read these 3 books given by the captain first. Looking through the Encyclopedia of Keto Spells, Lin Yu learned that the principle of Keto is a technique for using spiritual pressure. By controlling spiritual pressure, he can launch long-distance attacks, defend and restrain. Huh? Why is there no record of the principle and use of Kaido? How to use it? It seems that the only way to learn Kaido is to go back to the Gotei 13 and ask Captain Unohana for advice. After all, Kaido is not popular yet. Lin Yu sorted out his thoughts, and then he looked for ordinary virtual ones to practice the use of Keto. To strengthen the proficiency in using Keto, Zyuxu was not worth using his own sword at all. After determining the direction of his practice, Lin Yu began to wander around in Hueco Mundo with his goals. The sweep of Hueco Mundo has officially begun. Rush, White Thunder. Lin Yu started practicing from the lowest level of Keto. It feels so good not to have to use a sword. I am like a mage and can use my skills from a distance. How about applying to join the Keto community in the future? O King, the mask of flesh and blood, the myriad things, the thing that flutters high and bears the name of human beings. Heat and chaos, rolling southward across the sea, marching forward. Hato number 31, Red Cannon. With a firebomb, Lin Yu eliminated another attacking hollow. It really feels like fighting monsters and upgrading. Suddenly, a red flash came straight towards Lin Yu. I'm lucky. After wandering around for so many days, I finally met a big ghost, even though it's just Jillian. Bakuto 39, Round Gate Fan. The flash of Su was easily blocked by Lin Yu. Shuanpa stepped forward and fired a Bakuto at Daxu. Thundering Carriage, Gap of Spinning Wheel, this thing has light. Divided into 6. Bakuto S61, 6-stick Light Prison. After restraining the Jillian, and just as he was about to raise his hand to release the red fire cannon to kill it, Lin Yu suddenly thought of something, pulled out the Zanpakuto from his waist, and slashed at Jillian with perfect precision. He did a good job and did not kill it on the spot. The painful Jillian broke free from Lin Yu's Keto, and his instinct drove it to run for its life. If I remember correctly, Daxu almost all lives in the Daxu Forest. The Daxu Forest is located under the yellow sand of Hueco Mundo, but I don't know how to get in. Lin Yu walked slowly from behind. Chasing the escaping Jillian was to find the entrance to the Great Void Forest. Lin Yu followed Jillian to a sand dune, and Jillian dove into the sand dune. Lin Yu came to the sand dune, observed it for a while, and then entered it. A huge crack appeared in front of me. It was pitch black inside, and there were faint roars. Lin Yu carefully walked into the crack and found that it was a passage leading underground. Walking down the passage, Lin Yu finally came to the Daxu Forest. There are huge trees and strange plants everywhere, and the air is filled with a strong aura of spiritual beings. Lin Yu continued to go deep into the Daxu Forest, and he felt a powerful aura approaching. He looked around warily and saw a large group of huge Jillians appearing in front of him. Yeah. With so many Jillians, I can finally try the effect of the Zanpakuto's release. The leader, Jillian, roared angrily, spitting out blazing fire from his mouth, and swept towards Lin Yu. Lin Yu ducked sideways and drew out his Zanpakuto. Under the starry sky, thunder shakes the 9 heavens, and the thunder of the gods kills gods and demons. Liberate, Thunder Emperor Sword. Lin Yu, who was behind Shirkai, stepped forward with his sword. Jillian, the leader, stretched out his giant claw to block Lin Yu's slash. At the same time, the virtual flash in his mouth condensed, preparing to launch a counterattack. Lin Yu used Shuanpa to dodge, and while avoiding the attack, he released several Keto in succession in the air, restricting Jillian's movements. Lin Yu clenched his Zanpakuto, dodged, rushed towards Daxu, jumped up high, and slashed downwards. The Zanpakuto drew a dazzling blue light and struck it hard. A painful roar came, and Jillian, the leader, instantly turned into dust. Come on, let me make a killing today. Only a Jillian-level Daxu can make me a little more interested in fighting. Lin Yu continued to swing his sword, treating the group of Daxu in front of him as beings waiting to be slaughtered. Of Lamb. The hunting time begins now. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 12. More and more Jillians came towards Lin Yu. Group fight? If the tiger doesn't show its power, you think I'm Hello Kitty, Thunder Emperor Sword. Thundering for 9 days, the weather conditions changed. The dark sky suddenly became covered with dark clouds, and the sound of thunder rolled from the sky. Rumble, this is no ordinary thunder. The thunder is also mixed with Lin Yu's spiritual pressure. The power of the thunder depends on the user's spiritual pressure. Theoretically speaking, as long as the spiritual pressure is strong enough, the range can cover the entire Soul Society. It is no exaggeration to say that the coverage range of the Thunder Emperor Sword's Thunder 9 Heavens and the coverage range of Captain Yamamoto Ryujin Jakabankai are not far behind. However, it is currently unrealistic for Lin Yu to cause the same damage as the captain. The captain is known as the strongest Shinigami after all. Although Lin Yu after Shirkai is also considered a strong man, under the captain in his eyes, he is still a Karami. Although he can't kill him with one knife, it would be better to chop him with a few more. If nothing else, Lin Yu can only look up to him based on his combat experience, so don't fight with the captain. Thunder 9 Heavens is a range attack after the Thunder Emperor Sword Shirkai, which is to summon 9 Heavens Thunder to carry out devastating thunder and lightning attacks on enemies in a wide range. The damage is inversely proportional to the range. The larger the range, the smaller the damage. The smaller the range, the damage, the higher. As Lin Yu swung the sword, the Thunder Emperor's sword in his hand emitted a burst of dazzling thunder, and then thick thunderbolts fell from the sky and struck Jillian, who was coming. The power of thunder and lightning was astonishing, instantly turning several Jillians in front of them into ashes. However, the remaining Jillians did not retreat because of this. They continued to rush towards Lin Yu. This is normal. Jillian's mind is crazy, and she only knows how to attack and run away. It's not too much to call her stupid. When Lin Yu saw this, a cold look flashed in his eyes, and he waved the Thunder Emperor sword, releasing the powerful power of thunder again. For a moment, dark clouds rolled in the sky, thunder burst out, and countless thunderbolts fell like raindrops, hitting Jillian around them one after another. These lightning bolts are so powerful that they can easily destroy a Jillian with each strike. But there were too many Jillians. They rushed towards Lin Yu one after another, trying to defeat him with their numerical advantage. At the same time, the Jillians behind also used false flashes. Facing so many enemies, Lin Yu showed no fear on his face, instead showing an excited smile. Die! Lin Yu shouted loudly, and with his words, the thunder on the Thunder Emperor's sword became more dazzling, and the thunder seemed to tear the entire sky apart. At the same time, the dark clouds in the sky rolled violently, and thick thunder and lightning poured down from the clouds, forming a dense thunder net that enveloped all Jillian. In this thunder net, Jillian suffered a huge blow. After their bodies were struck by lightning, they turned into clouds of ashes and scattered in the air. Looking around, only the broken earth left after being ravaged by thunder, the remaining lightning, and the jumping arcs all showed the brutality of the battle just now. A group of Jillians were all wiped out. Phew, this move is strong, but it consumes too much spiritual pressure. The second level of spiritual pressure after my Shirkai consumes less than half. I'd better use it sparingly in the future. It's quite impressive when fighting Karami, but it's still better when I meet a top powerhouse. Forget it. It can only cause some trouble to the opponent and limit the opponent's ability to move. Lin Yu, who had consumed too much spiritual pressure, released the Shirkai state of the Thunder Emperor sword, and then wide again. This move is used to pretend to be B. It couldn't be more appropriate. Think about it. If you turn your back to the enemy with a sword, and the thunder comes from the sky, then there is no such thing as everyone is talking and laughing, and the oars are wiped out in ashes. No one can say something powerful or awesome. Forget it. Stop pretending. This is the Great Void Forest. I just killed a group of Jillians, so I moved quickly. Who knows if another group of Achukas will come out? They are not Jillians like idiots. Although they can be killed, the feeling of being surrounded is not pleasant. If the car overturns, it will be over. It is impossible for Mang to be reckless anymore. You must know that he came to the Soul Society after Mang died. He sensed the surroundings. With spiritual pressure and several Shuanpa in succession, Lin Yu quickly evacuated here. Lin Yu explored forward while observing the surrounding environment. Suddenly, I noticed a powerful spiritual pressure approaching quickly. No, it's Achiyuka's. We haven't returned to full strength yet, so we should retreat first. Lin Yu secretly screamed something bad. He speeded up, but the spiritual pressure followed closely behind. Seeing that he was about to be overtaken, Lin Yu decided to fight quickly to avoid being discovered by more Achiukas. He stopped and turned to face the Yachukas. He flashed and rushed towards Achiukas. The blade of the sword drew a brilliant arc in the air, slashing towards the enemy with fierce spiritual pressure. It's actually a Shinigami. This Yachukas originally noticed a strange spiritual pressure nearby and was about to follow him to see what the cause was. When he saw a man wearing a death tyrant outfit with a weapon hanging around his waist. The person holding the Zanpakuto, in standard Shinigami attire. This Yachukas was about to kill this Shinigami. Unexpectedly, Lin Yu stopped, pulled out his Zanpakuto and rushed towards it. Still sighing that this Shinigami's head was so funny, it felt a rush of force on its face. The powerful spiritual pressure came, and I was instantly stunned. Damn it, the idea is too tricky. You can't win. Run away. Upon seeing this, Achiukas hurriedly turned sideways to avoid, but was still wounded by the knife. It roared angrily and pounced on Lin Yu. Lin Yu turned sideways to avoid the attack, and then slashed out with his sword. Unexpectedly, the Achiukas jumped directly past him and fled in the opposite direction at high speed. Maid, you are really smart. You can also feint a shot. You know you can't win, but you actually make a fuss and escape. Lin Yu was stunned, and immediately used Shuinpa to pursue him. You have to catch up and kill it quickly, otherwise it will be in trouble if it joins the other Achukas. Lin Yu chased Achiukas closely, and the distance between the two gradually widened. The Hibiki is much faster than Shuinpa. If you continue like this, you will lose track of me. When I return to Soul Society, I still have to ask the captain of Shifuan to see if I can learn Shuinpa, which is unique to the Shifuan family. Fortunately, this Yachukas panicked and rushed into a cave. Lin Yu followed the cave without hesitation. The cave was dark, damp, and filled with an unpleasant smell. Suddenly, Yachukas disappeared, and Lin Yu looked around warily. At this time, a burst of spiritual pressure came from above his head, and multiple false bullets shot down. Before he could think about it, he said, Bakudo number 39, round gate fan. He blocked the flying bullets. It turned out that Achiukas was hiding on the top of the cave, waiting for an opportunity to launch an attack. Lin Yu's eyes turned cold. He raised the Thunder Emperor sword and rushed towards Achiukas. Seeing this, Achiukas wanted to repeat his old tricks and escape, but Lin Yu predicted its movements. Lin Yu jumped up and slashed out with the Thunder Emperor's sword in his hand. The thundering carriage, the gap of the spinning wheel, this thing has light, divided into 6. Bakudo number 61, 6 staff light prison. The slash was just a feint. Achiukas, who had escaped the slash, was instantly restrained by Bakudo and fell to the ground unable to move. Lin Yu breathed a sigh of relief and said, I caught him. Without any unnecessary nonsense, he killed Achiukas, who was still desperately begging for mercy, with one knife. Before he could breathe a sigh of relief, he found a pair of eyes watching him from the depths of the cave. Chapter 13. Are there any more enemies? It seems that this Achiukas was not in a panic, but deliberately led me here. However, for some unknown reason, the man in the dark had no intention of saving it, so he let it go. I beheaded it. Lin Yu tightened the Zanpakuto in his hand. Come out. There is no point in hiding in the dark. There was a burst of light footsteps in the quiet cave, spreading slowly, and a figure gradually became clear in Lin Yu's eyes. Yeah. It's troublesome this time. Look at this fuzzy figure, which is almost as tall as a human being. The only thing that survives in this state in Hueco Mundo, apart from Shinigami, is the highest level Daxua stat. Shinigami it can be ruled out immediately. After all, it was Shinigami who greeted me just now. Lin Yu had a bitter look on his face and still pulled out his Zanpakuto. Finally, someone appeared in front of Lin Yu. She was a woman with a white mask on her head in the shape of an antelope skull and long lake green hair that reached her waist. He has gray-brown eyes, a tattoo on his face, and a rose-colored horizontal facial pattern. Wearing a white combat uniform, white gloves on his hands, and something similar to a Zanpakuto on his waist. It turned out to be Niliel Duoudashivake. I remember the preface the author of Shinigami gave to Niliel was, if you can give me a pair of wings, I am willing to fly for you. Even if this land has completely sunk into the water. If you could give me a sharp sword, I would stand up for you. Even if this sky has penetrated you with light. Lin Yu breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the person clearly. If it was Nilu, his behavior just now would be normal, because Nilu has an innocent and friendly personality. Since it is an automatic errand car, it can continue to evolve without devouring its own kind, so it hates meaningless battles. He thinks that errand car, who is just like himself, has fallen from human beings into a void. After finally becoming errand car, he regains his rationality and doesn't want to engage in meaningless fights. He doesn't like fighting, but he is never afraid of it. Although he doesn't like fighting, when someone important to him is hurt, he will not hesitate to pick up the knife in his hand to protect the important person. Lin Yu sheathed the knife and was thinking about how to speak. You are Shinigami, right? Why did you appear in the world of Hueco Mundo? Nilu spoke to break the silence. Yes, I am Shinigami. I came to Hueco Mundo to practice myself. Lin Yu felt that Nilu's spiritual pressure was not malicious, and this battle should not be fought. Well, Nilu was speechless for a moment. I didn't expect you to be so honest and admit your identity directly. Although Nilu doesn't like fighting, it doesn't mean that she is easy to bully. To use it, you need to have strength and background to hang out. Lin Yu has the entire Gotei 13 team behind him. What does Nilu have? In this era, there should be no such thing as a Espada. Nilu is still alone, her mask is not broken, and there are no scars on her forehead. Her strength is currently on the rise, and she probably has not reached her strongest state yet. If we really fight her, I don't know if I can win, mainly because I don't know Bankai yet. If I learn Bankai, it doesn't matter who she is, just do it first. After thinking about it, Lin Yu burst into laughter. Isn't this Shinigami an idiot? He's smiling for no reason. Could it be that he's a lunatic? That's right. Who would come to Hueco Mundo with a slightly normal Shinigami? Nilu was a little unsure about the situation of the Shinigami in front of her. If it weren't for his spirit, the pressure was also very peaceful, and he didn't feel any malice. He had already drawn the sword. My name is Lin Yu. The lady opposite, can you tell me your name? A very corny opening statement. My name is Niliel du Oudchovank. Nilu responded, come to Hueco Mundo to practice. You are really brave. You might lose your life if you don't do it. There are many powerful beings in Hueco Mundo. I want to challenge them and improve myself. Lin Yu scratched his head. Nilu listened and shook her head slightly. You are really a strange Shinigami. Generally, Shinigami will not come to Hueco Mundo. However, since you are here, you must be careful. Hueco Mundo is full of dangers, but not every tile starter doesn't like fighting as much as I do, especially with your status as Shinigami. Lin Yu nodded and expressed his gratitude. Nilu seems not as innocent as she looks. She must have experienced a lot. By the way, Miss Nilu, why are you here? Lin Yu asked curiously. Nilu said softly, I like to be alone, relatively quiet. Lin Yu thought, maybe he could make friends with Nilu. He didn't know how long he would have to stay in Hueco Mundo. It would be a good choice to have someone to travel with. Then what do you usually do? Lin Yu then asked. Well, take a look at the scenery, and occasionally fight with some empty fights. Nilu thought for a while and replied, fighting with Sue? Don't you like fighting? Lin Yu was a little surprised. It's just occasionally, and I won't kill them, just for fun. Nilu explained. Lin Yu couldn't help laughing. This Nilu was really interesting. Then can I travel around Hueco Mundo with Miss Nilu? It will be safer to have a companion. Lin Yu invited. Nilu hesitated for a moment, but finally nodded. Okay, let's go together then. However, I don't promise that I will always be with you, Nilu said with a smile. In this way, Lin Yu and Nilu embarked on a journey to visit Hueco Mundo. Lin Yu and Nilu traveled through the virtual world together. They saw all kinds of virtual worlds and encountered many dangers. But every time they were able to turn danger into safety, the relationship between the two became closer and closer. Hueco Mundo doesn't remember years. I don't know how much time has passed, but Lin Yu's Keto and White hits have also improved to the point of proficiency. Hato below 90 can give up chanting and release them at will. Miss Nilu, thank you for accompanying me on my trip to Hueco Mundo. I have a request that I hope you can agree to. After thinking about it for a long time, Lin Yu finally spoke to Nilu. Request? I won't agree if it's too much. Looking at Lin Yu's serious look, Nilu did not express her attitude. Miss Nilu, can you fight with me? I want to evaluate my current strength. Please. It's just a fight. No problem. I promise you. I thought it was something serious, a fight, a small matter. Bring it on. Lin Yu and Nilu stood opposite each other, and the atmosphere became tense. Lin Yu held the Zanpakuto tightly with firm eyes, while Nilu held the weapon equally easily with a smile on her face. The battle was about to break out, and Lin Yu took the lead in launching an attack, pulling out his Zanpakuto and quickly rushing towards Nilou, slashing at her with the knife. Nilou dodged sideways and then counterattacked. Her speed was so fast that Lin Yu was caught off guard. The two of them went back and forth without giving in to each other. Lin Yu displayed various Kido and white hit skills, and Nilou also showed great strength. Miss Nilou, I'm going to do a sure kai. Be careful. Under the starry sky, thunder shakes the 9 heavens, and the thunder of the gods kills gods and demons. Liberate. Thunder Emperor Sword. Feeling Lin Yu's soaring spiritual pressure, Nilou was also ready to die. I really can't underestimate you. You're not far behind, even if you compare with the strongest people in Hueco Mundo. Sing, Gamuza. Nilou held her Zanpakuto forward with both hands, and after releasing it, she transformed into a half-goat holding a double-headed spear. The double-headed horns that were originally attached to the skull mask have become segmented and bent long horns. The collarbone, shoulders, elbows, and hands are all covered with white armor, and both arms have black long-sleeve gloves. Come on, keep fighting. After a fierce contest, Lin Yu gradually gained the upper hand. He seized the opportunity and launched a slashing attack with all his strength. Nilou blocked the attack, but was knocked back a few steps. Miss Nilou, be careful. I'm about to use my strongest attack. I'm not proficient in this move yet. Thunder God's Judgment summons a line of Dutian God's thunder to cause a devastating blow to a single enemy. If used with all his strength, with Lin Yu's current strength, this blow can completely kill a Daxu that has just evolved into Vastad. It is considered his strongest blow. Awesome, Lin Yu. You'd better not use all your strength. Nilou blocked the blow with difficulty, put away the weapon, and said with a smile. Lin Yu gasped and looked at Nilou, feeling filled with a sense of accomplishment. This battle gave him a clearer understanding of his own strength. Miss Nilou is my friend. We are just comparing notes, Lin Yu said. Friends? I hope we can still be friends next time we meet. Goodbye, Lin Yu. Nilou said with a smile, then turned and left. Hey, Miss Nilou. Whether you are a hollow or a Shinigami, being too kind is not good, especially in an environment like Hueco Mundo. I don't want to hear the news of your death when I come to Hueco Mundo next time. I received your words. Don't worry, I won't die easily. Lin Yu looked at her leaving back, secretly in a trance, wondering if this encounter could change Nilou's sad experience in the future. After the war, Lin Yu and Nilou both exchanged what they had learned. Under the condition that they promised not to spread the word to others, Lin Yu obtained the skills of ringing and virtual flash, while Nilou obtained the skills of Kido. An Aaronkar who can use Kido, this image is unimaginable. Chapter 14. Lin Yu said goodbye to Nilou and continued to travel in Hueco Mundo alone. Coming from Soul Society to Hueco Mundo, Lin Yu's goal has always been the same, which is to learn Bankai and become a more powerful Shinigami. After staying in Hueco Mundo for so long, Lin Yu's Zhanjuan Zhangue has improved a lot, but he still has no clue about the secret of Bankai. Thunder Emperor, Lin Yu came to the world of Zanpakuto again after whispering his Zanpakuto's name. I'm here. I want to learn Bankai. Lin Yu was too lazy to talk nonsense. Here we go again. You have said this every time you come to see me during this period. You are so persistent. Bankai cannot be learned by just studying. You don't understand the meaning of Bankai at all. Go back and wait for you. One day you understand what I said. You can come to me again. I don't want to see you for the time being. Lei Di waved his hand, and Lin Yu was forcibly sent back to the real world. Lin Yu stood there with a blank look on his face, his heart full of doubts and confusion. He didn't know what he did wrong. Why did Lei Di always refuse to teach him Bankai? Is it really because he didn't understand the true meaning of Bankai? But what is the true meaning of Bankai? Lin Yu was trapped in deep contemplation. Lin Yu decided to put aside the idea of learning Bankai and instead focus on cultivating his own state of mind. It seems that we can't learn Bankai from the Thunder Emperor in a short time. We still have to learn it on our own. It's better to leave Hueco Mundo and return to Soul Society. Lin Yu opened his eyes and sighed helplessly. I originally thought I could learn Bankai from the Thunder Emperor, but now it seems that this goal cannot be achieved in the short term. He decided to rely on his own efforts to understand the secrets of Bankai. Lin Yu stood up and prepared to leave Hueco Mundo. He thought in his mind, what is the meaning of Bankai? Isn't it just a simple increase in strength, but a breakthrough in state of mind? Maybe only when I truly understand the essence of Bankai can I master its power. Bankai is not only a skill or ability, but also a sublimation of spiritual realm. Lin Yu pulled out his Zanpakuto and opened the portal to Soul Society. When he stepped into the boundary crossing gate, a strange scene appeared in front of him, the broken boundary. The ratio of time here to the outside world is 2,000 times, which means that 2,000 years of cultivation here is equivalent to only 2 years in the outside world. Lin Yu couldn't help but exclaimed, "It's really strange here." However, Lin Yu also realized that the broken world was not a safe place. It will be very dangerous if you encounter an emergency. If you want to enter the inside of Ju2, you must eliminate your own spiritual pressure, otherwise you will be swallowed. Thinking of this, Lin Yu shook his head and thought, "Forget it, this idea is too crazy. I don't want to take the risk." So, he continued to move forward, crossed the boundary, and finally returned to the Soul Society where he had been away for a long time. "You are willing to come back. I thought you died in Hueco Mundo." As soon as Lin Yu came back to Ba Yunzhai, he noticed his spiritual pressure and rushed over from the captain's room. Before Ba Yunzhai could vent his anger, Lin Yu held her in his arms and said, Oh, I'm back. I'm making you worried. After being away for so many years, I just want to get rid of me with just one sentence. Ba Yunzhai is like a doormat. Actually, I heard everything you said the last time you were drunk. I pretended to be drunk on purpose." Lin Yu rubbed Ba Yunzhai's hair. The captain turned out to be a big liar. "Okay, go and prepare the ingredients for the hot pot. I will go to the first team to report to the captain first. That bird in Hueco Mundo is not shit. I'm so hungry after staying in this place for so long." "Well, go quickly and come back early." At this moment, Ba Yunzhai was like a well-behaved little daughter-in-law who was sending her husband off. "I don't know how many years have passed now. That ghost place in Hueco Mundo doesn't distinguish between day and night. I should have asked Ba Yunzhai just now." Lin Yu thought as he hurried on. "Stop." A team of powerful troops. Lin Yu, who was thinking with his head down, was stopped by someone. When he looked up, he saw that the person in front of him was wearing a Shinigami outfit that was different from most Shinigami. His death outfit was white and black, with silver white hair and golden eyes. What a handsome guy. Wait, isn't this the fake guy who was killed by the plot? Sasakaibe Chujiro. It seems that I stayed in Hueco Mundo for a long time. Even he has already appeared. I am Lin Yu, Deputy Captain of the 8th Division. If you have anything to do, please see Captain Yamamoto." Lin Yu suppressed a smile and expressed his intention. "Vice Captain of the 8th Division? I never heard that Captain Ba Yunzhai promoted him to Vice Captain." Chojiro thought for a moment. "Wait a moment, I will report to the captain." Alas, the appearance of Sasakaibe Chojiro here can only prove that he has learned Bankai and the captain has accepted him. "I've been in Hueco Mundo for so long, and I still can't Bankai. It's really embarrassing. I am still a genius, but I am a natural idiot." "Long wait, Vice Captain Lin Yu. The captain is in the courtyard. Please follow me." Shangjiro brought Lin Yu into the first team with questions. When he met the captain just now, he said that there was a man who called himself 8, the deputy captain of the division, asked him to come and see him. The captain directly asked him to pick up this person and go in to see him. He didn't even need to be in the reception room. Chojiro couldn't even think about it. "Captain, Vice Captain Lin Yu is here. I'll take my leave first." "Shangjiro, stay here. I introduced you just now." The captain stopped Sasakaibe, who was about to leave. "Hey, Captain, it's been a long time since I saw you. What's the matter with the injury on your forehead?" Lin Yu asked knowingly. "You said this kid in front of you left it to me. Now I have changed my name to Yamamoto Jinryusai Shigakuni. How can I have this honor?" "The captain thinks too highly of me." Not paying attention to what Chojiro said, the captain continued. "Let me introduce you formally. This kid's name is Sasakaibe Chojiro. He is now my deputy captain, and his Zanpakuto is of the thunder type like yours, but it's Yin Ling Wan, known as the strongest lightning element. Is the thunder system the strongest?" Lin Yu really wanted to see it, and he was a little eager to try it. "Shangjiro, do you want to spar with Lin Yu?" Now that the captain has spoken, I will fight with Deputy Captain Lin Yu. In fact, after hearing that the man's Zanpakuto in front of him was also a thunder type, Chojiro couldn't hold it in anymore. First team training ground. Lin Yu and Chojiro set up their formation. "Vice Captain Sasakaibe, please." Chojiro was not pretentious. "Penetrate him." Yinling Maru raised his hand to free the Zanpakuto and slashed at Lin Yu. Lin Yu Shuanpa dodged, drew out his Zanpakuto and fought back. The two sides fought back and forth. After fighting for several rounds in a row, Chojiro couldn't stand it any longer. Is he really just the vice captain? He can fight me evenly without releasing the Zanpakuto. He doesn't lose at all. It seems I have to use Bankai to suppress it. After all, Inraimaru is the strongest Zanpakuto of the Thunder system. Even Bankai can suppress it with his Zanpakuto. After another attack, Chojiro distanced himself. Vice Captain Lin Yu, I want a Bankai. Please Bankai too. Otherwise you will get hurt. Bankai. Huang Yinling left the palace. The spiritual pressure on Chojiro's Zanpakuto was released into the air at once, causing the electrons in the air to condense into huge spiritual pressure. The entire Siriidii was instantly covered with clouds, and an oval-shaped electric light appeared. The electric light was divided into 11 lines, surrounding by his side. Change the sky. It is indeed the strongest Zanpakuto of the Thunder system. This sense of oppression is really powerful. It seems that I can't stop this move without liberation, so let me try this powerful Zanpakuto of the Thunder system. The level is right. Facing Chojiro's Bankai, Lin Yu also became serious. Under the starry sky, thunder shakes the 9 heavens, and the thunder of the gods kills gods and demons. Release the Thunder Emperor sword. Lin Yu released the Zanpakuto, and the spiritual pressure around him suddenly soared. How is it possible? Shirkai alone has reached this level. Even if this man's strength cannot be compared to the captain, it is not much worse. Sure enough, the level of strength does not depend on the Zanpakuto in his hand. Even the strongest lightning element is useless. Chojiro gathered 11 lightning bolts on the blade and thrust forward. Lin Yu raised the Thunder Emperor sword high, and the Thunder God ruled. A ray of thunder from the sky was led down from the sky by Lin Yu. With a wave of the Zanpakuto in his hand, the divine thunder struck Chojiro, who was sprinting over. Boom! The lightning of the collision was blinding, and Chojiro flew backwards. His death armor was in tatters, and he was obviously injured by Lin Yu's move. Are you okay, Vice Captain Sasuke? Lin Yu sheathed his sword and prepared to check his injuries. Ahem. No problem. Vice Captain Lin Yu should call me Chojiro. Chojiro was convinced. Lin Yu defeated him without even using Bankai. His strength was really terrifying. I would also like to thank Vice Captain Lin Yu for keeping his hand and not doing Bankai. I wonder if I can see your Bankai. Looking at Lin Yu's wry smile, Chojiro thought that he was presumptuous and forced a powerful being to Bankai. Is irrational. Shangjiro that. Actually, I don't know how to Bankai yet, Lin Yu said ashamedly, putting his hand on his forehead. Two surprised voices came. Not only Chojiro, but also Captain Yamamoto was surprised. This kid hasn't learned Bankai yet. It's really a ghost. Chojiro was also confused. He was so strong before he learned Bankai. If he learned Bankai, it would be better. What a monster. The battle just now attracted a large number of watching Shinigami. After all, the scope of influence of Chojiro's Bankai was too great. Let's go back to my captain's room first. There are more and more people. Captain Yamamoto stopped Chojiro, who wanted to continue. Lin Yu, you said you haven't learned Bankai yet. It doesn't make sense. Please tell me in detail what the reason is, and I'll see if I can help you answer it. Captain Yamamoto asked eagerly. Lin Yu relayed what the Thunder Emperor said to him to the captain. Strange. Since you have mastered Shirkai, it stands to reason that as long as you continue to develop the Thunder Emperor sword, Bankai will be a matter of course. You shouldn't be unable to do it yet. Bankai. Captain Yamamoto also couldn't find the answer to this situation. Shangjiro, you may have a lot of doubts. Lin Yu joined the Gotei 13 team 200 years ago. He mastered Shirkai in less than a year, and then went to Hueco Mundo to practice in order to learn Bankai. That's why you haven't seen him in Soul Society. Captain Yamamoto told Chojiro what he had always wondered about. The Gotei 13, who joined 200 years ago, learned Shirkai in less than a year, and were honed in Hueco Mundo. They still don't know Bankai, but their strength is ridiculously strong. After hearing this, Chojiro felt numb all over. What kind of thing is this? This is a monster. Captain Yamamoto and Chojiro wanted to continue asking, so Lin Yu took his leave. You've just returned to Soul Society. Do you have anything to deal with today? Captain Yamamoto still wanted to keep Lin Yu and continue to ask him about Hueco Mundo. Captain, there's nothing wrong with me. It's just that it's getting late. Yunzhai is waiting for me to go back for dinner, so I'll stay soon. Lin Yu said, You little devil. Go back, lest you make Yunzhai angry. The captain, who was still a little angry, suddenly changed his expression. Lin Yu stood up to say goodbye. Chojiro next to him opened his mouth wide and pointed in the direction Lin Yu left. He actually called Captain Yunzhai by his name and said that he was waiting for him to go back for dinner. Captain, did I hear you correctly? Lin Yu's words made Shinjiro feel even more outrageous than the captain's introduction to his deeds just now. Shinjiro, you didn't know this, but Lin Yu and Ba Yunzhai love each other. The captain laughed rarely. The captain of the Gotei 13, who usually looked fierce, turned out to be a loving family with her vice-captain. Chojiro felt like he had been hit hard by 10,000 points in his heart. What happened today had to overthrow his view. After Lin Yu left the first team, he went straight back to the 8th team. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Ba Yunzhai busy preparing hot pot ingredients. Lin Yu hurried forward to help. You're back so soon. Didn't the captain keep you for dinner? Yes, I stayed, but I told the captain that you were waiting for me to eat, so I rushed back. If you tell the captain like this, he won't get angry and stab you with a knife. You guessed wrong. Originally, the captain was quite unhappy when I was about to leave. But as soon as I said I wanted to come back for dinner, the captain understood and was very happy to let me come back. The two were chatting and busy at the same time. Cheers. I haven't had such delicious food in almost 200 years. After dinner, Lin Yu and Ba Yunzhai sat cuddling each other on the roof of the 8th Division, blowing the evening breeze, and told her what they saw and heard in Hueco Mundo, mixed with a few earthy love words they had learned before, making Ba Yunzhai blush from time to time. He recalled his experience in Hueco Mundo and his conversation with the Thunder Emperor. Although he is still unable to understand the true meaning of Bankai, he firmly believes that as long as he keeps working hard, he will one day be able to understand it. Time is running out. Now Chojiro has joined the Gotei 13, which means that the most critical plot in Shinigami is coming soon. The war between Soul Society and the Quincy led by Yawatch is about to break out. I can't tell the captain directly. Why don't I tell the captain that I came from time travel and that Yawatch will attack Soul Society? Let's kill all the Quincy first. The captain might think I'm crazy. In this battle between Shinigami and the Quincy, although he knew that Soul Society won in the end, he did not know what price Soul Society paid. Judging from the known information, Soul Society suffered heavy casualties. After the war, Soul Society suffered heavy casualties. The Gotei 13 was reorganized, and the captain changed the UNG private school to the Shino Spiritual Arts Academy, recruiting a large number of ordinary souls with spiritual power from Rukongai. At the same time, the captains of each division were changed. What worries him the most is that after the war, Kyoraku Shunsui, a disciple of the first phase of Juno's Spiritual Arts Academy, took over as captain of the 8th Division. This meant that Ba Yunzhai either died in battle or died in the battle. He just retired after the war. Lin Yu didn't dare to gamble. He was afraid that he would lose Ba Yunzhai. Looking at the moon in the night sky, Lin Yu held Ba Yunzhai's hand tightly and suddenly said to her, Ba Yunzhai, I will protect yours. What, Lin Yu? You are really confused. I don't need your protection. You should protect yourself. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites shared the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 15. Early the next morning, the sun shone into the room through the window. Lin Yu climbed out of bed early, feeling a little nervous and expectant. Today he is going to visit two important people, Captain Shifinjuan of the 2nd Division and Captain Unohana of the 11th Division. He tidied up his Death Domination uniform, combed his hair, and then left his residence. The first stop is to go to Captain Shifinjuan. He has arrived at the station of the 2nd Division. The environment here is quiet and green, as if isolated from the outside world. The 2nd Division is worthy of leading the secret mobile team. This station is so unique. Lin Yu knocked on the door of the captain's office of Shifinjuan and walked in after getting permission. The captain of Shifinjuan was sitting at his desk, looking at him with a faint smile on his face. The two exchanged pleasantries, and Lin Yu expressed his respect for the captain and explained his purpose of coming. I would like to ask you about the Shuinpa skills unique to the Shifinjuan family. I hope I can learn and improve my own strength, Lin Yu said sincerely. However, the expression of the captain of Shifinjuan became serious. He shook his head gently and made it clear that this was the unique skill of the Shifinjuan family and could not be passed on to others. Lin Yu felt a little disappointed, but still politely expressed his understanding. At this time, the captain of Shifinjuan suddenly smiled and proposed another option. If you are willing to consider joining the Shifinjuan family and become a member of our family, then I can teach you the Shuinpa technique. A sly light flashed in his eyes. When Lin Yu heard this proposal, he almost couldn't stand still. His eyes widened and his face was full of astonishment. He waved his hands quickly, indicating that he could not accept such conditions. I want to learn Shifinjuan's unique Shuinpa just to improve my strength and protect Yunzhai. You even asked me to marry you. So why are you kidding me? Thank you very much for your kindness, but I have no such plan, he explained quickly. When the captain of Siphon Jaiwan saw this, he no longer forced himself. He just smiled and told Lin Yu not to care. Lin Yu breathed a sigh of relief, secretly glad that he was not in an embarrassing situation. Finally, he thanked and said goodbye to Captain Siphon Jaiwan, and then hurriedly left the station of the 2nd Division. Next, he will go to the 11th Division to visit Captain Unohana. This experience made Lin Yu realize that it is not easy to learn the unique skills of other families. However, Kaido has become popular after 1,000 years, and the 4th Division was specially reorganized into a medical team. Captain Unohana should not, I will refuse. Lin Yu came to the station of the 11th Squadron. This place is completely different from the peaceful atmosphere of the 2nd Division. It is full of energy and noise. He found Captain Unohana's office, knocked on the door and entered. Captain Uzihua greeted him warmly. After all, Captain Uzihua is Ba Yunzhai's best friend. Captain Unohana, I heard that you claim to be the Grandmaster of all swordsmanship in Soul Society and call yourself Yachiryu. You must have experienced many fights. You always defeat your opponents with a crushing style. Lin Yu did not directly say so. He wanted to learn Kaido, but he felt it was too rude, so he had better lay the foundation first. Unohana took a sip of tea and said, most of the battles did end in a crushing manner, but we also encountered more difficult opponents, such as Captain Yamamoto, Captain Saito, Captain Bonsai, etc. They are strong opponents. Except for the captain, I have never defeated them, and the rest have won and lost. Wait a minute, you said that Ba Yunzhai's swordsmanship is also very powerful. Did I hear you right? Lin Yu automatically ignored Captain Saito. Although he knew that all members of the first-generation Gotei 13 were evil, he did not know that Bonsai was also a master of swordsmanship. Bonsai only looks like a delicate girl in front of you. When she really fights, she is also a ruthless one. She is not lenient at all when she cuts people. She is also a veritable evil person, and she is the Gotei, captain of the 8th Division of the 13th Division. How could Lin Yu think she is a vase? Of course I know Ba Yunzhai's strength, I just didn't know she was also a swordsman. Also, my Ba Yunzhai is very well behaved. Captain Mao Zihua is not allowed to say that about her. Lin Yu tried his best to defend Ba Yunzhai. The beautiful image of Yunzhai in my heart. Is this love? Captain Unohana asked in confusion. Love. Love and M's twist. Hearing Mao Zihua's question, Lin Yu couldn't help but think of this classic line. I'm going too far, Captain Unohana. I want to ask you if you have experienced so many battles. Is there any way to quickly recover from injuries? After all, there are times when you are injured in battles. Lin Yu, why did you think of asking about this? Yes, I did learn this ability. It was taught to me by a man named Thunder Tenshiro. Captain Uzihua felt a little strange about this matter. It's like this. During the days when I fought in Hueco Mundo, I suffered many injuries. Each time I was injured, it took a long time to recover. After returning to Soul Society, I have been thinking about this problem. Moreover, after Captain Hua has rich combat experience and is Ba Yunzhai's best friend, so he plans to come to you for advice. Lin Yu quickly explained the reason. So that's it. Lin Yu, do you want to learn this skill? It would be great if I could learn this skill. Lin Yu was so happy that Captain Uzihua asked. That means there is something interesting about this. Captain Unohana, actually I still have an immature idea. Why don't the Gotei 13 set up a dedicated medical team? Shinigami are already very scarce. This can greatly avoid the loss of combat power. Mao Zihua's eyes lit up immediately after hearing what Lin Yu said. Lin Yu, your idea is really great. I have never considered it like this before. If you're sorry, I'm going to the first team to report this to the captain. If you can accomplish this, you will have accomplished a great feat. Mao Zihua dropped Lin Yu and rushed towards the first team in a hurry. Really, Captain Uzihua is really anxious. This matter is not temporary. He left me as a guest and left. Forget it. I have achieved my goal this time, so I will go back first. Lin Yu also stood up. Back to the 8th Division. Lin Yu, who had just returned to the 8th Division, met Ba Yunzhai who was about to go out. Ba Yunzhai, do you have a mission to go out? The captain just announced an emergency captain meeting. Lin Yu, be prepared. There may be tasks to be performed. I'm leaving first. Ba Yunzhai confessed to Lin Yu and left quickly. An emergency captain meeting was held at this time, and it should be the result of Captain Unohana's report. Dividing line, cutting. In the first team, the captain who was dealing with official duties thought that something big was going on when he heard Uzihua asking to see him. Captain, Lin Yu just visited me in the 11th Division and discussed medical matters with me. Inspired by his inspiration, I feel that it is indeed necessary for the Gotei 13th Division to set up an exclusive medical team, so that it will greatly improve Shinigami's combat effectiveness. Unohana also listed other benefits of establishing a medical team. The captain pondered for a while after listening to Unohana's report. I agree with this proposal. Shanjiro, immediately notify the captains of each Gotei 13 team to convene an emergency captain meeting to discuss and finalize this matter. The captain immediately asked Sasuke to issue the order. Yes, Captain. The black and white luo, the 22 bridges, the 66 crowns, footprints, distant thunder, pinnacles, returning ground, night cover, sea of clouds and blue formations, fill the Taiyuan garden and reach the sky. Bakudo 77, Tian Ting Kong Luo. Shanjiro immediately informed the captains of each team with Kido. Captain Wazuka, you came to the conference room with the captain. Did something big happen? Captain Siphon Jaiwan, who came the fastest, asked Wazuka. After a while, all the captains of the Gotei 13 team arrived in the first team conference room. Except for Unohana, the captains of each team were ready, thinking that something big had happened, and they were all asking each other. Looking at the noisy conference room, the captain spoke. Quiet. This emergency captain meeting was held. It was Lin Yu, the deputy captain of the 8th Division, who proposed a major idea related to the development of the Gotei 13. After Deputy Captain Lin Yu, and after the exchange with Captain Uzihua reported the matter to me. The captain continued, after my thinking, I think this proposal has certain feasibility, so I called everyone to discuss it. After hearing this, the captains of each team whispered to each other and started discussing. I agree to set up a medical team. Yunzhai was the first to agree. This suggestion is very constructive, and Lin Yu is not only her deputy captain, he understands everything. Agree. This can reduce the casualties of team members. For a while, various voices sounded in the conference room. Finally, after some discussion, everyone unanimously decided to set up a medical team. The commander-in-chief looked at Captain Unohana and said, this proposal has been approved by everyone. You will be responsible for the preparation of the medical team. After all, you are the only one who knows medical skills. Furthermore, I decided to incorporate medical skills into Shinigami Kido. Just call it Kaido. As for Vice Captain Lin Yu's contribution to this, I will report it to Central 46. After hearing the captain's arrangement, Uzihua stood up and said, thank you to the captain and all captains for their trust. I will definitely live up to your trust. Then let's decide this. Let's break up the meeting. Ba Yunzhai, who returned to the 8th Division, rushed up and kissed Lin Yu before he could speak. Lin Yu, what on earth are you carrying in your head to have such a genius idea? It seems that the commander-in-chief agrees with my idea. Not only the captain, but also the captains of all Gotei 13 teams unanimously agreed. At the same time, the captain ordered Unohana to be responsible for the construction of the medical team, and also incorporated medical skills into Kido, which was called Kaido. Bonsai with an excited look on his face. The captain also reported your contribution to this matter to Central 46. I wonder what reward you can get. In fact, Lin Yu had selfish motives in proposing to build a medical team. It was not only for the development of the Gotei 13 team, but he also wanted to use this method to achieve a small goal of his, eternal youth. You know, after 1,000 years, the appearance of Captain Uzihua is still the same as before, but the captain has become older. This made Lin Yu realize that mastering advanced Kaido technology may be the key to staying young. Therefore, he proposed this idea to facilitate himself in the construction of the medical team. After all, he was the one who proposed this plan, so that he could better learn and master this skill. After Lin Yu and Ba Yunzhai chatted for a few words, they began to think about the future. If we learn Kaido, maybe we can stay young forever and spend a longer time with you, Lin Yu said with longing. Ba Yunzhai smiled and knocked on his head. You know how beautiful you are. But if we can really learn Kaido, it might not be a bad thing for us. Lin Yu chuckled. Then we have to work hard. Ask Uzihua for advice, and try to learn Kaido as soon as possible. Lin Yu and Ba Yunzhai began to actively devote themselves to Kaido's study. Apart from eating, sleeping, and going on missions every day, the rest of the time is devoted to Kaido. Even during breaks, they discuss their experiences with each other. They even didn't want to waste time when eating hot pot, like crazy people, discussing Kaido's techniques and applications while eating. During this period, whenever they have free time, they will go to the 11th Division and humbly ask Mao Jihua for advice. Mao Jihua always patiently answers their questions and gives valuable guidance. The two cherished this opportunity very much, listened carefully to Mao Zihua's teachings, and carefully pondered the essence. In the process of learning Kaido, Lin Yu and Yunzhai also discovered that advanced Kaido can indeed keep people young. Kaido can not only heal wounds, but can also use its power to enhance one's physical strength and spiritual power. Although the growth is very slow, it can be regarded as a way to improve strength. As time goes by, Lin Yu and Yunzhai's Kaido skills become more and more sophisticated. They learned how to use Kaido to treat a variety of injuries, including serious and fatal injuries. At the same time, they have also mastered some advanced Kaido techniques that can help restore vitality to the injured and allow them to recover quickly. In a fierce battle with Hollows, some Shinigami who went on a mission were seriously injured and their lives were in danger. In order to verify their learning results, Lin Yu and Yunzhai took the initiative to use Kaido to treat the injured Shinigami. Their hands glow with green light, injecting warm Kaido energy into the injured body, quickly stopping bleeding and repairing damaged tissue. Thanks to their efforts, many seriously injured people miraculously recovered. After waking up from a coma, Shinigami saw that the captain and deputy captain of the 8th Division were treating him. He felt that it was a great honor to be treated by these two people personally. After the battle, Lin Yu and Yunzhai received many praises and thanks from Shinigami. They used Kaido techniques to save the lives of many Shinigami who should have perished. For a time, the entire Gotei 13 Shinigami praised them highly. Lin Yu and Yunzhai are really warm-hearted, always helping the injured Shinigami. She teased the two people who were drinking tea with Unohana in the 11th Division. Yeah. Yunzhai and I just did it to verify the results of our studies. Uzihua, you are joking. We are not that great. Lin Yu interrupted Uzihua, who wanted to continue talking. Anyway, the idea you proposed at the time, Lin Yu, has indeed brought benefits to the entire Gotei 13 after such a long period of practice. However, last time the captain said that he had reported your achievements to Central 46. No, I don't know why, but I haven't rewarded you until now. You are really a bunch of stubborn old people. Sometimes I really want to kill all those self-righteous sages with a knife. Mao Zihua was still mocking 46. Practices. Captain Mao Zihua, maybe the sages have their own considerations. In fact, Lin Yu also wanted to go to room 46 to ask those old diehards why they didn't give him a reward. If the answer he got was not satisfactory, Lin Yu wouldn't mind it later. During the war with the Quincy, he learned from Londa and secretly killed everyone in room 46, then let the Quincy take the blame. It's enough for the Gotei 13 to take charge of the internal affairs themselves. They don't need this group of people to tell them what to do. This has become a constraint. Chapter 15. Early the next morning, the sun shone into the room through the window. Lin Yu climbed out of bed early, feeling a little nervous and expectant. Today he is going to visit two important people, Captain Shifinjuan of the 2nd Division and Captain Unohana of the 11th Division. He tidied up his Death Domination uniform, combed his hair, and then left his residence. The first stop is to go to Captain Shifinjuan. He has arrived at the station of the 2nd Division. The environment here is quiet and green, as if isolated from the outside world. The 2nd Division is worthy of leading the secret mobile team. This station is so unique. Lin Yu knocked on the door of the captain's office of Shifinjuan and walked in after getting permission. The captain of Shifinjuan was sitting at his desk, looking at him with a faint smile on his face. The two exchanged pleasantries, and Lin Yu expressed his respect for the captain and explained his purpose of coming. I would like to ask you about the Shuanpa skills unique to the Shifinjuan family. I hope I can learn and improve my own strength, Lin Yu said sincerely. However, the expression of the captain of Shifinjuan became serious. He shook his head gently and made it clear that this was the unique skill of the Shifinjuan family and could not be passed on to others. Lin Yu felt a little disappointed, but still politely expressed his understanding. At this time, the captain of Shifinjuan suddenly smiled and proposed another option. If you are willing to consider joining the Shifinjuan family and become a member of our family, then I can teach you the Shuanpa technique. A sly light flashed in his eyes. When Lin Yu heard this proposal, he almost couldn't stand still. His eyes widened and his face was full of astonishment. He waved his hands quickly, indicating that he could not accept such conditions. I want to learn Shifinjuan's unique Shuanpa just to improve my strength and protect Yunzhai. You even asked me to marry you. So why are you kidding me? Thank you very much for your kindness, but I have no such plan, he explained quickly. When the captain of Shifinjuan saw this, he no longer forced himself. He just smiled and told Lin Yu not to care. Lin Yu breathed a sigh of relief, secretly glad that he was not in an embarrassing situation. Finally, he thanked and said goodbye to Captain Sifenjaiwan, and then hurriedly left the station of the 2nd Division. Next, he will go to the 11th Division to visit Captain Unohana. This experience made Lin Yu realize that it is not easy to learn the unique skills of other families. However, Kaido has become popular after 1,000 years, and the 4th Division was specially reorganized into a medical team. Captain Unohana should not, I will refuse. Lin Yu came to the station of the 11th Squadron. This place is completely different from the peaceful atmosphere of the 2nd Division. It is full of energy and noise. He found Captain Unohana's office, knocked on the door, and entered. Captain Uzihua greeted him warmly. After all, Captain Uzihua is Ba Yunzhai's best friend. Captain Unohana, I heard that you claim to be the Grandmaster of all swordsmanship in Soul Society and call yourself Yuchiryu. You must have experienced many fights. You always defeat your opponents with a crushing style. Lin Yu did not directly say so. He wanted to learn Kaido, but he felt it was too rude, so he had better lay the foundation first. Unohana took a sip of tea and said, most of the battles did end in a crushing manner, but we also encountered more difficult opponents, such as Captain Yamamoto, Captain Saito, Captain Bonsai, etc. They are strong opponents. Except for the captain, I have never defeated them, and the rest have won and lost. Wait a minute, you said that Ba Yunzhai's swordsmanship is also very powerful. Did I hear you right? Lin Yu automatically ignored Captain Saito. Although he knew that all members of the first-generation Gotei 13 were evil, he did not know that Bonsai was also a master of swordsmanship. Bonsai only looks like a delicate girl in front of you. When she really fights, she is also a ruthless one. She is not lenient at all when she cuts people. She is also a veritable evil person, and she is the Gotei, captain of the 8th Division of the 13th Division. How could Lin Yu think she is a vase? Of course I know Ba Yunzhai's strength, I just didn't know she was also a swordsman. Also, my Ba Yunzhai is very well behaved. Captain Mao Zihua is not allowed to say that about her. Lin Yu tried his best to defend Ba Yunzhai. The beautiful image of Yunzhai in my heart. Is this love? Captain Unohana asked in confusion. Love. Love and M's twist. Hearing Mao Zihua's question, Lin Yu couldn't help but think of this classic line. I'm going too far, Captain Unohana. I want to ask you if you have experienced so many battles. Is there any way to quickly recover from injuries? After all, there are times when you are injured in battles. Lin Yu, why did you think of asking about this? Yes, I did learn this ability. It was taught to me by a man named Thunder Tenshiro. Captain Uzihua felt a little strange about this matter. It's like this. During the days when I fought in Hueco Mundo, I suffered many injuries. Each time I was injured, it took a long time to recover. After returning to Soul Society, I have been thinking about this problem. Moreover, after Captain Hua has rich combat experience and is Ba Yunzhai's best friend, so he plans to come to you for advice. Lin Yu quickly explained the reason. So that's it. Lin Yu, do you want to learn this skill? It would be great if I could learn this skill. Lin Yu was so happy that Captain Uzihua asked. That means there is something interesting about this. Captain Unohana, actually I still have an immature idea. Why don't the Gotei 13 set up a dedicated medical team? Shinigami are already very scarce. This can greatly avoid the loss of combat power. Mao Zihua's eyes lit up immediately after hearing what Lin Yu said. Lin Yu, your idea is really great. I have never considered it like this before. If you're sorry, I'm going to the first team to report this to the captain. If you can accomplish this, you will have accomplished a great feat. Mao Zihua dropped Lin Yu and rushed towards the first team in a hurry. Really, Captain Uzihua is really anxious. This matter is not temporary. He left me as a guest and left. Forget it. I have achieved my goal this time, so I will go back first. Lin Yu also stood up. Back to the 8th Division. Lin Yu, who had just returned to the 8th Division, met Ba Yunzhai who was about to go out. Ba Yunzhai, do you have a mission to go out? The captain just announced an emergency captain meeting. Lin Yu, be prepared. There may be tasks to be performed. I'm leaving first. Ba Yunzhai confessed to Lin Yu and left quickly. An emergency captain meeting was held at this time, and it should be the result of Captain Unohana's report. Dividing line, cutting. In the first team, the captain who was dealing with official duties thought that something big was going on when he heard Uzihua asking to see him. Captain, Lin Yu just visited me in the 11th Division and discussed medical matters with me. Inspired by his inspiration, I feel that it is indeed necessary for the Gotei 13th Division to set up an exclusive medical team, so that it will greatly improve Shinigami's combat effectiveness. Unohana also listed other benefits of establishing a medical team. The captain pondered for a while after listening to Unohana's report. I agree with this proposal. Shanjiro, immediately notify the captains of each Gotei 13 team to convene an emergency captain meeting to discuss and finalize this matter. The captain immediately asked Sasaki to issue the order. Yes, Captain. The black and white luo, the 22 bridges, the 66 crowns, footprints, distant thunder, pinnacles, returning ground, night cover, sea of clouds and blue formations, fill the Taiyuan garden and reach the sky. Bakudo 77, Tian Ting Kong Luo. Shanjiro immediately informed the captains of each team with Kido. Captain Wazuka, you came to the conference room with the captain. Did something big happen? Captain Siphon Jaiwan, who came the fastest, asked Wazuka. After a while, all the captains of the Gotei 13 team arrived in the first team conference room. Except for Unohana, the captains of each team were ready, thinking that something big had happened, and they were all asking each other. Looking at the noisy conference room, the captain spoke, quiet. This emergency captain meeting was held. It was Lin Yu, the deputy captain of the 8th Division, who proposed a major idea related to the development of the Gotei 13. After Deputy Captain Lin Yu, and after the exchange with Captain Uzihua reported the matter to me. The captain continued, after my thinking, I think this proposal has certain feasibility, so I called everyone to discuss it. After hearing this, the captains of each team whispered to each other and started discussing. I agree to set up a medical team. Yunzhai was the first to agree. This suggestion is very constructive, and Lin Yu is not only her deputy captain, he understands everything. Agree. This can reduce the casualties of team members. For a while, various voices sounded in the conference room. Finally, after some discussion, everyone unanimously decided to set up a medical team. The commander-in-chief looked at Captain Unohana and said, this proposal has been approved by everyone. You will be responsible for the preparation of the medical team. After all, you are the only one who knows medical skills. Furthermore, I decided to incorporate medical skills into Shinigami Kido. Just call it Kaido. As for Vice Captain Lin Yu's contribution to this, I will report it to Central 46. After hearing the captain's arrangement, Uzihua stood up and said, thank you to the captain and all captains for their trust. I will definitely live up to your trust. Then let's decide this. Let's break up the meeting. Yunzhai, who returned to the 8th Division, rushed up and kissed Lin Yu before he could speak. Lin Yu, what on earth are you carrying in your head to have such a genius idea? It seems that the commander-in-chief agrees with my idea. Not only the captain, but also the captains of all Gotei 13 teams unanimously agreed. At the same time, the captain ordered Unohana to be responsible for the construction of the medical team, and also incorporated medical skills into Kido, which was called Kaido. Bonsai with an excited look on his face. The captain also reported your contribution to this matter to Central 46. I wonder what reward you can get. In fact, Lin Yu had selfish motives in proposing to build a medical team. It was not only for the development of the Gotei 13 team, but he also wanted to use this method to achieve a small goal of his, eternal youth. You know, after 1,000 years, the appearance of Captain Uzihua is still the same as before, but the captain has become older. This made Lin Yu realize that mastering advanced Kaido technology may be the key to staying young. Therefore, he proposed this idea to facilitate himself in the construction of the medical team. After all, he was the one who proposed this plan, so that he could better learn and master this skill. After Lin Yu and Yunzhai chatted for a few words, they began to think about the future. If we learn Kaido, maybe we can stay young forever and spend a longer time with you, Lin Yu said with longing. Yunzhai smiled and knocked on his head. You know how beautiful you are. But if we can really learn Kaido, it might not be a bad thing for us. Lin Yu chuckled. Then we have to work hard. Ask Uzihua for advice, and try to learn Kaido as soon as possible. Lin Yu and Yunzhai began to actively devote themselves to Kaido's study. Apart from eating, sleeping, and going on missions every day, the rest of the time is devoted to Kaido. Even during breaks, they discussed their experiences with each other. They even didn't want to waste time when eating hot pot, like crazy people, discussing Kaido's techniques and applications while eating. During this period, whenever they have free time, they will go to the 11th Division and humbly ask Mao Zhihua for advice. Mao Zhihua always patiently answers their questions and gives valuable guidance. The two cherished this opportunity very much, listened carefully to Mao Zihua's teachings, and carefully pondered the essence. In the process of learning Kaido, Lin Yu and Yunzhai also discovered that advanced Kaido can indeed keep people young. Kaido can not only heal wounds, but can also use its power to enhance one's physical strength and spiritual power. Although the growth is very slow, it can be regarded as a way to improve strength. As time goes by, Lin Yu and Yunzhai's Kaido skills become more and more sophisticated. They learned how to use Kaido to treat a variety of injuries, including serious and fatal injuries. At the same time, they have also mastered some advanced Kaido techniques that can help restore vitality to the injured and allow them to recover quickly. In a fierce battle with Hollows, some Shinigami who went on a mission were seriously injured and their lives were in danger. In order to verify their learning results, Lin Yu and Yunzhai took the initiative to use Kaido to treat the injured Shinigami. Their hands glow with green light, injecting warm Kaido energy into the injured body, quickly stopping bleeding and repairing damaged tissue. Thanks to their efforts, many seriously injured people miraculously recovered. After waking up from a coma, Shinigami saw that the captain and deputy captain of the 8th Division were treating him. He felt that it was a great honor to be treated by these two people personally. After the battle, Lin Yu and Yunzhai received many praises and thanks from Shinigami. They used Kaido techniques to save the lives of many Shinigami who should have perished. For a time, the entire Gotei 13 Shinigami praised them highly. Lin Yu and Yunzhai are really warm-hearted, always helping the injured Shinigami. She teased the two people who were drinking tea with Unohana in the 11th Division. Yeah, Yunzhai and I just did it to verify the results of our studies. Uzihua, you are joking. We are not that great. Lin Yu interrupted Uzihua, who wanted to continue talking. Anyway, the idea you proposed at the time, Lin Yu, has indeed brought benefits to the entire Gotei 13 after such a long period of practice. However, last time the captain said that he had reported your achievements to Central 46. No, I don't know why, but I haven't rewarded you until now. You are really a bunch of stubborn old people. Sometimes I really want to kill all those self-righteous sages with a knife. Mao Zihua was still mocking 46. Practices. Captain Mao Zihua, maybe the sages have their own considerations. In fact, Lin Yu also wanted to go to room 46 to ask those old diehards why they didn't give him a reward. If the answer he got was not satisfactory, Lin Yu wouldn't mind it later. During the war with the Quincy, he learned from Londa and secretly killed everyone in room 46, then let the Quincy take the blame. It's enough for the Gotei 13 to take charge of the internal affairs themselves. They don't need this group of people to tell them what to do. This has become a constraint. Chapter 17. I have been a captain for nearly 100 years. I learned Shirkai in less than a year from the beginning, and now I still have no clue about the practice of Bankai. Except for Zaraki Kenpachi 1,000 years later, I am afraid that I am the only captain who does not know Bankai. Lin Yu lay down in the captain's room of Yunzhai. It was completely ruined. Hurry up, don't you know that I have been handling team affairs for you for the past 100 years of your 7th Division? At first you said you were not familiar with handling team affairs, but now it's almost 100 years ago, and you still have to do your job. Leave it to me? Look how you behave like a captain now. Yunzhai reached out and grabbed Lin Yu's ears and asked loudly. It hurts, let go. Your ears are about to be ripped off. Lin Yu burst into tears in pain. Yunzhai, do you think I am too useless? I haven't learned Bankai yet. No, I don't want to learn to deal with team affairs. I'm worried. I can't keep using Shirkai against other people's Bankai. Yunzhai stopped what he was doing and said, you still know how shameful you are. Then go learn Bankai quickly. If you lie here and don't handle team duties, I will get angry just looking at you. I really want to pluck your ears off. Looking at the angry Yunzhai, Lin Yu knew that he could not stay any longer, so he ran away like a frightened rabbit. Lin Yu sat alone on the roof, looking at the bright moon and twinkling stars in the sky, his thoughts gradually drifting away. What Thunder Emperor said to him kept echoing in his mind. If you want Bankai, you must understand the meaning of Bankai. Lin Yu frowned and pondered this sentence over and over again. Bankai is the re-liberation after knowing the true name of Zanpakuto and performing Shirkai. He recalled the scene when he first met Reidi when he was learning Shirkai. At that time, he was still a novice who had just come into contact with Shirkai, but now, he has grown a lot. Lin Yu raised his head and looked at the starry sky, feeling a strong impulse in his heart. He suddenly understood something and quickly called out the Thunder Emperor's real name. Thunder Emperor. As he shouted, Lin Yu came to the world of Zanpakuto again. You haven't come to me for so many years. I saw how excited you were when you came in this time. I understand why you can't Bankai. It's been hundreds of years and you're pretty stupid. Lady is still the same as before, sitting on the throne, drinking wine and teasing Lin Yu. Looking at the power of thunder in the palace, and then looking up at the stars above the palace, Lin Yu said what he should have understood a long time ago. Thunder Emperor, your real name is not Thunder Emperor, right? I recalled the scene when we first met. At that time, I asked you for your real name, and you told me to call you Lady. I was confused for a while, so I just called you Lady. Now I understand that this is not the case at all. It's not your real name, right? It was you who made the first impression, okay? I have never admitted that my name is Thunder Emperor. It's just that when you called me that, I pinched my nose and recognized it. The man named Thunder Emperor looked at the furious person with a smile on his face. Lin Yu, I'm a fool, so to put it this way, I can't Bankai because I didn't figure out your name at all. Even my Shirkai has been wrong and incomplete for hundreds of years. Wait a minute, let me slow down. Excuse me, this blow is really too big for me. You are the idiot, you can't blame me. Over the years, I have reluctantly recognized your strength. Listen, my real name is Ziwei. Ziwei finally told Lin Yu his real name. Ziwei, mastering the power of thunder, stars, and controlling ghosts and gods, is the embodiment of the great Emperor Ziwei in the North Pole. You say this is unscientific, it's just science. Since traveling to Soul Society, science has been shattered all over the place. Let alone Emperor Ziwei. Even if Lin Yu is told now that he is the Jade Emperor, he will believe it. Lin Yu burst into tears at this moment. It's been almost 500 years, and I finally learned Bankai. Shit Bankai, you learned Shirkai. You're about to hold back your words. It's so shocking. Seeing Lin Yu's constant wailing, Ziwei waved his hand and knocked him back to the real world. It's a shame. Out of sight, out of mind. Lin Yu opened his eyes, his face filled with half joy and half sorrow. He was happy that he finally figured out the reason why he couldn't Bankai, but he was worried that he hadn't even fully learned Shirkai. Okay, now let's try our own liberation again. Before that, we should apply to the Commander-in-Chief first. After all, liberation in Siri requires permission. So as to avoid making any big noise, Lin Yu hurriedly used the sky. Ting Kong Luo contacted the captain. When the captain learned that Lin Yu was going to apply for liberation, he subconsciously thought that he had already learned Bankai, because Shirkai did not need to apply, and only Bankai would apply for liberation unless there was an emergency. Lin Yu held his Zanpakuto in his hand and recited the correct Shirkai words: the latitude and longitude of the sky, the latitude and longitude of the sun, the moon and the stars. They call for the wind and rain, the thunder capitals, and the ghosts and gods. Liberate, Ziwei sword. After the liberation, the sky in Lin Yu's area after the change, the stars in the sky suddenly brightened 8 degrees. The power of the stars was continuously drawn down. The surrounding spiritual power became much stronger. The clear night sky was also accompanied by the impossible power of thunder. This vast the momentum is felt to be created by Bankai. At the same time, the Zanpakuto in Lin Yu's hand has also changed. The pattern on the sword body is no longer dominated by thunder, but is composed of stars and thunder. There is also a longitude and latitude line running through the entire sword body, and there are ghost and god runes on both sides of the sword. One side is wind and rain runes. After successfully mastering Shirkai, Lin Yu's spiritual pressure level broke through to the first level. In the Shirkai state, his spiritual pressure was equivalent to that of the captain's Bankai, reaching an astonishing 5 to 10 times. This means that Lin Yu, after Shirkai, is fully capable of confronting a captain after Bankai and easily suppressing the opponent. Even under normal conditions, he can challenge a captain-level opponent on his own. In the current Soul Society, Captain Yamamoto is probably the only one who can compare with Lin Yu. However, if Lin Yu learns Bankai, the outcome of a one-on-one battle between him and the captain will become unpredictable. Who can win depends on the specific situation. After hundreds of years, Lin Yu, you have finally learned Bankai, this rich spiritual pressure. You said you would protect me, but this sentence has come true. Looking at Lin Yu, who was surrounded by the power of stars and thunder, he pulled out his hand. Yunzhai felt that he suddenly had a sacred and noble aura, like a god who controlled the stars and thunder in the sky. The melon-eating Shinigami who did not know the truth looked at the changed celestial phenomena and the strong spiritual pressure they felt, and felt as if they were facing a formidable enemy. When they took a closer look, the person who triggered the vision was a man wearing the captain's Haori. The sharp-eyed Shinigami saw knowing the 7 characters behind Haori, and thinking of the rumors that the entire Gotei 13 team Captain Lin Yu of the 7th team does not know Bankai. Most Shinigami are speculating that this news is Captain Lin Yu's Bankai, especially the 7th team. The team members were all cheering. Although Lin Yu was already one of the best among the captains before Bankai, as a captain he didn't know how to Bankai, so the team members still felt it was a shame. The exception is Zaraki Kenpachi, who is a barbarian who can only kill people with his Zanpakuto. The commander-in-chief and the captains of each division who came over showed happy expressions. This kid has finally learned Bankai. Facing the upcoming war with the Quincy, the chance of winning has increased a lot. The captain felt Lin Yu's spiritual pressure at this time and said nothing more. Lin Yu, come with me to form a team. The other captains should disperse. After ending his liberated state, Lin Yu followed the captain back to the first team. We are the only two here. I have asked Chojiro to impose martial law. I need to know what your Zanpakuto's ability is. It turns out that I was just watching. Oh, your Zanpakuto is not a thunder type. How should I put it, Captain? My Zanpakuto can be regarded as a rule system. You also saw the liberated form just now. My sword can mobilize the power of stars and thunder, and it can also control the natural laws and order between heaven and earth. Change the celestial phenomena, control the ghosts and gods. Now all I can do is mobilize the power of stars and thunder. Change the celestial phenomena, control the ghosts and gods, and control the laws and order. Lin Yu introduced himself to the captain seriously. Zanpakuto, I want you to tell me how far you can mobilize the power of stars and thunder and change the celestial phenomena, and what effect the power of stars has. A rare serious expression appeared on the captain's face. Lin Yu thought for a while. If I use my full strength to cover the entire Soul Society, let me call this coverage area a domain. In my domain, the power of attracting stars can increase and restore the power I specify. The target's spiritual pressure, the power of the enemy's stars, and the ceiling effect. According to what you said, I may be the only one in Soul Society who can suppress you at present. Develop your Zanpakuto well. After I grow up, the position of captain must be yours. But it's strange that your Zanpakuto can't be suppressed by you. The Soul Sword Shurikai is of the Thunder type, and after Bankai it is actually the Rule type. As for the first one, I will tell you when you take over as the captain. In fact, it doesn't need to be told by the captain. Lin Yu also knows that the first rules-based Zanpakuto is the Zanpakuto owned by Hyasube Ippei of the Zero Division, which is also the Zanpakuto owned by the man known as the real name monk, Ikamanji. Since the captain chose not to tell him for the time being, he could just pretend not to know. One more thing, in fact, this is just Lin Yu's Shurikai, and he hasn't learned Bankai yet. However, the captain and the other captains mistook it for his Bankai, and he was happy to play dumb. After all, it took almost 500 years to learn Shurikai. This was really embarrassing. It was almost embarrassing to his grandma's house. He didn't want others to know the truth. Therefore, he would rather continue to maintain this misunderstanding. At least this way he can save some face. Captain, if there is nothing else, I will go back to Division 8 first. Lin Yu, you have to know that you are now the captain of the 7th team. How unbecoming is it to stay in the 8th team all day? Although everyone knows your relationship with Yunzhai, you must also learn to handle things by yourself. It's really hard to find. It is always not good for a reliable deputy captain to handle team affairs, and it is always bad to let Yunzhai handle team affairs for you. The captain taught Lin Yu earnestly like an elder. Also, you and Yunzhai. After all these years, it's time for an explanation. Huh? Explain. Explain what? Do Yunzhai and I have anything to explain? Lin Yu expressed confusion. I'm talking about marriage. Marriage? How long will it take before you two plan to get married? The captain said sadly, feeling really angry and anxious, wanting to beat up the fool in front of him. Are you getting married? Are you too anxious? Yunzhai and I are still very young. I think we should get along for a while before considering marriage. Lin Yu scratched his head and answered with a somewhat embarrassed smile. Road. When he heard the word marriage, he felt an inexplicable sense of resistance deep in his heart. You told me you were still young. The two of you together are over 1,000 years old. Are you kidding? Don't you like Yunzhai? The captain stared at Lin Yu in disbelief. No, of course I like Yunzhai. It's just that I'm really not mentally ready to get married yet. Lin Yu stammered as he explained, with a blush on his face. Like a monkey butt. He and Yunzhai have lived together for hundreds of years, but they have never seriously considered the issue of marriage. After all, he never even officially said his confession to Yunzhai. Lin Yu hesitated for a moment and decided to go talk to Yunzhai. Returning to the 8th division, I found Ba Yunzhai who was busy. Ba Yunzhai, I have something to tell you. Lin Yu walked to Ba Yunzhai and said softly. Ba Yunzhai raised his head and looked at Lin Yu. A trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. She put down her work and said with a smile, "Have the captain finished talking to you? Is there anything else you want to say to me?" Lin Yu took a deep breath and summoned up the courage to say, "I have thought a lot about our future. The captain also mentioned marriage." Ba Yunzhai's face turned slightly red, but she quickly regained her composure. She gently held Lin Yu's hand and said, "I have been waiting for this day. Lin Yu, I am willing to go on with you." Lin Yu looked at Ba Yunzhai, his heart filled with warmth and joy. He held Ba Yunzhai's hand tightly, as if he owned the whole world. "But I haven't officially confessed to you yet. I don't even know how to say it." Lin Yu became shy after saying this. "You are stupid. In fact, you have confessed to me a long time ago. Don't you know?" Ba Yunzhai burst into laughter. Why didn't I know when I confessed to you? Could it have been when I was drunk? Why don't I remember it at all?" Lin Yu thought about it for a long time, but he didn't expect when I confessed to you. You are really an emotional idiot. Have you forgotten that you told me you will protect me?" Looking at Lin Yu's stupid look, Ba Yunzhai decided not to tease him. Is this a confession? Well, Lin Yu admits that he is an emotional idiot. Lin Yu suddenly realized that he had already inadvertently expressed his feelings to Ba Yunzhai, and he giggled. "Lin Yu, are you willing to say it formally again?" Ba Yunzhai's voice trembled slightly. She held Lin Yu's hand tightly, her eyes full of expectation and uneasiness. Lin Yu looked at the beautiful woman in front of him and felt a strong sense of responsibility and love in his heart. He took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down, but the excitement in his heart could not be suppressed. Finally, Lin Yu took Ba Yunzhai's hand and said seriously, "I will protect you, and I will protect you for the rest of my life." This sentence was like an oath, firm and powerful. After saying that, Lin Yu gently placed his lips on Ba Yunzhai's forehead, leaving a gentle kiss. This kiss represents his commitment and love to Ba Yunzhai, and also symbolizes the deep emotional bond between them. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped flowing, and everything around became quiet and beautiful. Ba Yunzhai felt Lin Yu's sincerity and affection, and tears couldn't help but well up in his eyes. She knew that from today on, she would no longer be the only one in her life. She also has a man. She is no longer single. The setting of the Knights of the Star Crossed thousands of years ago. This chapter is my own conception of the members and abilities of the Knights of the Star Crossed thousands of years ago. It is not easy to create. Readers, please give it a thumbs up. If you have better ideas, please leave a message for discussion. Thank you. African Chief. Yawach, omniscient, omnipotent, almighty. Yawach from thousands of years ago also had the ability to predict the future and supreme power. B. Hugolan Hazward, balance, balance. Hazward can control luck and misfortune to create balance in battle. C. Isolde, time manipulation, chronomancer. Isolde can manipulate time, including pausing, accelerating, or decelerating the time flow. D. Archimond, soul reaper, deathbringer. Archimond has the ability to harvest souls to enhance his own strength. E. Ethela, natural control elementalist. Ethela can control natural elements, such as wind, fire, water, and earth. F. Fearmonger, fearmonger. Fearmonger weakens the enemy's will by creating and spreading fear. G. Gasper, gluttonous. Gasper has an endless appetite and can swallow large amounts of matter. H. Shio, Lord of Fire, Hellfire. Shio can control flames, causing violent combustion and explosions. I. Eden, Ironclad. Eden's body is as hard as steel and has extremely high defense. J. Justice, Cagemaker, Jailer. Justice can create powerful cages to imprison enemies. K. Caitlin, Kinetic. Caitlin can change the shape and structure of objects. L. Layla, Love Healer. Layla heals wounds and diseases through the power of love and light. M. Michael, Miracle Worker. Michael can create miracles, such as resurrecting the dead, restoring broken objects, etc. N. Nazius, Network Weaver. Nasus can weave complex networks for communication and tracking. O. Oscar, Overkill. Oscar eliminates enemies in an extremely cruel way and is good at close combat. P. Prometheus, God of Power, Powerhouse. Prometheus has superhuman strength and can lift and throw heavy objects. Question Quincy, Questioner. Quincy is good at raising questions and reasoning, and revealing the truth through logical analysis. R. Ragnar, Roaring King. Ragnar's roar can shock enemies and even cause earthquakes. S. Silas, thunderbolt. Silas can control lightning and cause huge electric damage. T. Theseus, fearless warrior, true slayer. Theseus is a fearless warrior who is good at using heavy weapons. U. Ulrich, stalker, undercover. Ulrich is good at sneaking and reconnaissance, and can complete tasks without being discovered. V. Valentine, visionary. Valentine has the ability to foresee the future and provide strategic guidance to the knights. W. Windy, windrider. Windy can control the wind, move quickly, and attack enemies. X. Xerxes, penetrator, X-stabber. Xerxes' attack can penetrate any material and is indestructible. Y. Janus, two-faced, yin-yang. Janus has a dual personality and can respond flexibly to various situations. Z. Zaire, zombie master. Zaire can control the dead and create an undead army. Chapter 18. The residence of the Commander-in-Chief of the 1st Division. It is quiet and solemn here. The air is filled with the faint fragrance of tea, and the sun shines through the windows with Madara's mottled light and shadow. The captain sat at the table and looked steadily at Lin Yu and Ba Yunzhai in front of him. So, you two have thought it through and don't plan to get married now? The captain's voice was calm and gentle, but the majesty contained in it made people dare not despise it. His eyes glanced at the hands held tightly by the two of them, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Lin Yu and Ba Yunzhai looked at each other's eyes filled with determination. They took a deep breath and said at the same time, "Captain, we have already discussed it and decided to wait until the war with the Quincy is over before considering marriage." Lin Yu held Ba Yunzhai's hand tightly and then said, "At this moment, we cannot be distracted and must go all out to deal with the enemy. Although marriage is important, for us, guarding Soul Society and protecting everyone's safety is more urgent." Ba Yunzhai nodded, agreeing with Lin Yu's words. There was a firm light in her eyes, as if telling the captain that they would not be swayed by personal emotions, but would put collective interests first. The captain listened quietly to the explanations of the two men, secretly praising their maturity and sense of responsibility. "Very good. I'm pleased with your decision." The captain stood up, walked to the window, and looked at the sky in the distance. "Soul Society needs responsible captains like you. I believe you will bring out your greatest potential in battle." Lin Yu and Ba Yunzhai felt the trust and support of the captain, and a warm current surged in their hearts. They know that the captain has always been their role model and leader, and his words are like beacons illuminating the way forward. "Thank you, Captain, for your understanding and encouragement. We will definitely live up to your expectations." Lin Yu solemnly bowed to the captain to thank him. The captain smiled and waved his hand, motioning for them to sit down. He picked up the teacup, took a sip of tea, and then said slowly, "Don't worry and fight. No matter what the result is, your love will withstand the test. When the war is over, that will be the moment of happiness that truly belongs to you." Lin Yu and Ba Yunzhai nodded gratefully. They understood the captain's blessings and expectations. At this critical moment, they will join hands to face the challenges of the future and fight for the peace of Soul Society. The atmosphere in the captain's residence was solemn and full of hope. The three people's eyes met together, preparing for the upcoming battle. "Yunzhai, you should go back first. I have something to discuss with the captain about this battle." "Well, I have to come back soon." The two of them kissed without hesitation in front of the captain. The two people who expressed their feelings became even more unscrupulously intimate. The captain felt a chill when he saw it. The sour smell of love was it's disgusting. "Captain, I don't know if there is any valuable information about this war with the Quincy. From the death of the execution captain to now, many Shinigami who went out on missions have been killed by the Quincy. Indeed, these Quincy seem to have some special ability. The way they move in battle seems to be called flying sickle. This footwork is superior to Shinigami's Shuenpa, which allows some ordinary Shinigami to fight with them. The situation has become very difficult, and their actions are very secretive, so it is difficult to detect their traces in advance," the captain said with a frown. "Is it possible to find their stronghold or base? If their base can be destroyed, their strength may be greatly weakened. They haven't found their stronghold yet, but as far as I know, they seem to have their own organizational structure and leaders. Maybe we can start investigating from this aspect." "Well, I'll consider that. Do you have any other questions?" "Captain, I have also conducted an investigation into the Quincy organization that emerged during this period. The leader of the Quincy is a man named Yawach. He claims to be the son of the Soul King, Yuhabak. A trace of surprise flashed in the captain's eyes. You actually dare to call yourself the son of the Spirit King. What a big statement. However, this also shows that he may have extraordinary strength. Lin Yu, you have to be careful. In addition, I will send additional manpower to assist you in the investigation. Once you find the Quincy's stronghold or other clues, report them to me immediately. Lin Yu nodded and responded, Yes, Captain. I will definitely live up to expectations. After seeing Lin Yu off, the captain stood alone by the window, staring into the distance. He secretly thought in his heart, in this war with the Quincy, no matter what the price, even if all Shinigami are killed, victory must be achieved. Captain Yamamoto showed his true colors at this moment. The man known as the Sword of Swords ghostly men are not easy to get along with seriously. At the same time, I was ready for a full-scale war with Soul Society, and the negotiations with Shinigami broke down. That be *********** D named Hyasub Ichibai deliberately provoked me during the negotiations, asking me to attack him, and then took the opportunity to use Soul King. His left hand sealed my omniscience and omnipotence, but he also paid a price for it. The Soul King's left hand was taken away by me. In order to avoid unnecessary variables, I decided to declare war on Soul Society immediately. We have succeeded before. The Gotei 13th executioner, Nobutsuna, originally planned to slowly consume Shinigami's combat power and clear the obstacles to attacking Soul Society, but now it seems that even if we don't take the initiative, the Gotei 13 will take the lead. Launch an attack. Therefore, we must be the first to take the lead. In the magnificent palace of the Empire of Light, Yawatch solemnly issued an order to Hazward beside him. This time, I will personally lead the members of the Knights to attack Shing Soul Palace, strive to eliminate all Shinigami in one battle, and then go to Soul King Palace to defeat that abominable monk. Yes, Your Majesty, I will get ready right away. Bang, 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 the entire Siriidii sounded a piercing alarm, and a huge hole was blasted out of the wall of the Siriidii made of murderous stone. Great war. Here we go. What happened, Chojiro? Yamamoto asked, looking at Chojiro in front of him. Before he could finish asking, Chojiro said solemnly, Captain, the walls of the Siriidii have been destroyed, and the Quincy has launched an attack on us. The enemy has invaded the Siriidii. Nanny, what? Damn Quincy, we haven't launched an attack on them yet, but they did it first. Yamamoto Jinryusai Shigakuni roared, his heart filled with anger and shock. He originally thought he could control the situation, but now it seems that the situation is worse than he imagined. I'm going to bury them all here today. Yamamoto Jinryusai Shigakuni's voice was filled with endless killing intent, and the spiritual pressure on his body suddenly exploded, spreading around like a raging wave. Feeling the powerful spiritual pressure emanating from Yamamoto Jinryusai Shigakuni, Chojiro understood that the captain was extremely angry at this moment. Gather all Shinigami and annihilate the invading enemies. Yamamoto Jinryusai Shigakuni issued the order with a firm and decisive tone. Yes, Captain. Chojiro took the order and left, and began to convey Yamamoto Jinryusai Shigakuni's orders. Lin Yu, who was on his way back to the 8th Division, heard the sound of the walls of the Siriidii being destroyed, and felt the fluctuations of spiritual power unique to the Quincy. Something happened. The Quincy launched an attack on the Siriidii. Lin Yu immediately turned and rushed towards the 7th Division. Shao Chunichiro immediately gathered the Shinigami of the 7th Division and rushed to the place where the wall is damaged. The enemy is attacking. Lin Yu, who rushed back to the 7th Division, said to his deputy the captain gave the order. I will rush to the scene of the incident first. You should follow me as soon as possible. Although Captain Lin Yu always looks carefree, he is still very dignified when he is tightening up. Ko Chunichiro immediately began to gather the team members and set off. Call out, Lin Yu was the first to arrive at the scene of the incident. The bodies of Shinigami and some Quincy were already lying around, and the battle had already begun. Lin Yu looked at the enemy in front of him, a man with long black hair and beard, a deep and ferocious appearance, red eyes, 3 silver medals on each collar, and a dark red cloak. There were about 3 people standing behind him, 10 people wearing white uniforms, almost all of them wearing long white hooded cloaks with stars and crosses on the back, which is their identifying feature. In the gap behind them, a steady stream of ordinary Quincy rushed into the Siriidii. Are you Yawatch? The leader of the Quincy? I think these people behind you are members of what you call the Knights of the Star Cross, Lin Yu said, looking at the man in front of him who claimed to be a god. Yuabak didn't seem to expect that Lin Yu would guess his identity so quickly. He glanced at Lin Yu in surprise, but quickly regained his composure. I didn't expect you to know my name. It seems that you are interested in us. I still know something about the Quincy clan. Yes, I am Yawatch, the leader of the Quincy, and these people behind me are members of the Star-Crossed Knights, and they are all powerful Quincy warriors. Lin Yu couldn't help but frown after hearing what Yamamoto said. Judging from the spiritual pressure coming from the Quincy of these knights, the worst ones have third-level spiritual pressure, not to mention the leader Yawatch. Facing him directly feels like facing Captain Yamamoto. He has terrifying the momentum, is worthy of being the biggest boss in Shinigami. But Lin Yu was not intimidated by this. Since Captain Yamamoto was able to defeat and seal him in the original plot, I believe he can do the same. Now, although I am not as good as the captain, I am still pretty close. Who wins and who loses will only know after a game. Humph, Yawatch, your ambition will not succeed. Today, let me crush your ambition, Lin Yu said loudly, while releasing his powerful spiritual pressure, which matched the spiritual pressure of Yawatch. Relatively confrontational. Looking at the man in front of him wearing the captain's feathery fabric, Yamamoto actually felt a hint of danger, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of alarm in his heart. He knew that after the death of Executor Nobutsuna, the Gotei 13 would soon be replaced by a captain, but he did not expect that there would be such a strong opponent in Soul Society who was not inferior to Yamamoto Shigekuni. Who are you? Yawatch rarely put away his contempt and stared closely at the mysterious man in front of him, trying to find some clues from him. Oh? It seems that your intelligence work is not done well. Listen up, I am Lin Yu, captain of the 7th Division of the Gotei 13th Division. I will kill your people, Lin Yu said expressionlessly, pressing his hand on top of the Zanpakuto. He is ready to take action at any time. Arrogant. The Knights of the Star Cross shouted angrily, unable to tolerate any Shinigami being so rude to their king. However, Lin Yu was not intimidated by their momentum, but became more determined. A member of the Knights came out and took the lead in launching an offensive against Lin Yu. Captain, please die here first. Listen up, I am the Great Ragnar, Roaring King, codename R. Call out, instantly dodge. Lin Yu combined the sound transfer taught to him by Nilu and the moving footwork developed by Xuanpa, which is much faster than the Quincy's flying scythe kicks, to avoid the attack. Lin Yu didn't even release his Zanpakuto. Killed Ragnar, who rushed out. Seeing Ragnar being killed instantly with a knife, the members of the Knights of the Star Cross finally woke up from their rage. They began to observe Lin Yu carefully and realized that the Shinigami in front of them, who easily killed Ragnar before releasing his Zanpakuto, was unfathomable. Although Ragnar's combat power is relatively weak, only the 3rd level spiritual pressure level according to Shinigami standards, he is also a captain-level combat power. Being able to defeat Ragnar so easily means that this Shinigami is likely to have the same strength as the king. However, the king is the most powerful being, and anyone who challenges his authority is doomed. At the same time, Captain Yamamoto received the news that Lin Yu had taken the lead in attacking the enemy. He immediately summoned the remaining 11 captains and quickly led them to the battlefield. Captain Yamamoto is well aware of the importance and danger of this battle, and he is determined to go all out to start a life-or-death contest with the enemy. Lin Yu and Yamamoto were confronting each other, and the atmosphere was extremely tense. At this moment, Captain Yamamoto led other captains to the scene. Lin Yu, you did a good job, but leave it to us, Captain Yamamoto said. Lin Yu nodded, put away the knife, and stepped aside. Are you okay? Yunzhai, who arrived together, immediately became concerned about Lin Yu's situation. I'm fine, you guys came just in time. Lin Yu held his Zanpakuto tightly and faced the Quincy in front of him. Captain Yamamoto looked at the situation at the scene and found that Lin Yu had already defeated a powerful enemy. He turned to look at Yawatch, with a trace of determination flashing in his eyes. Yamamoto, today is the end of you, Captain Yamamoto roared. He raised the Zanpakuto in his hand, performed the Shurikai, Ryujin Jaka without hesitation, and took the lead in slashing towards Yawatch. For a moment, flames surged into the sky, illuminating the entire Serie-IDI. Lin Yu's eyes were firm. He and the remaining captains pulled out the Zanpakuto from his waist and followed Captain Yamamoto closely, with determination and courage in every step. At this point, all members of the Gotei 13 team have joined. The war has begun. The members of Team 13 who came from behind also joined the battle one after another. They looked solemn and held their Zanpakuto tightly in their hands, preparing for the upcoming battle. At this moment, all members of the Gotei 13 gathered together to face the enemy together. Their forces come together to form a powerful fighting force. Everyone knows that this war will determine their fate, as well as the future of Soul Society as a whole. The horn of war has sounded. The flames of war are filling the air, and the smoke is everywhere. The Shinigami of the Gotei marched 13th forward bravely without flinching. Their figures shuttled on the battlefield, with swords and swords intertwining, showing fearless courage and tenacious fighting spirit. This is a life and death battle and a defense of justice. The Shinigami know that they must go all out to defeat the enemy in front of them and protect those who need protection. No matter how many difficulties and challenges lie ahead, they will never give up because they have firm beliefs in their hearts. The intensity of the war gradually escalated, with both sides going back and forth and refusing to give in to each other. The members of the Gotei 13 team worked closely together, giving full play to their respective specialties, and launched a desperate fight against the enemy. Every movement is so precise and powerful, and every knife contains endless killing intent. On this battlefield, there is no mercy or hesitation. There is only a choice between life and death, and only an outcome of victory or defeat. The Shinigami use their lives to defend the justice of Soul Society and fight for peace. The battle continued, and the ground was dyed red with blood, but the morale of the Gotei 13 did not weaken. Under the leadership of Captain Yamamoto and the captains, they firmly believe that as long as they work together, they can defeat any invading enemy. In this war, they will finally win the final victory. Chapter 19. Lin Yu looked at Yunzhai and Hasward with a solemn expression, and a strong fighting spirit surged in his heart. As Yawacha's personal bodyguard, Hasward's strength is undoubtedly at the top level, and he was able to become Yawacha's guard not only because of his absolute loyalty, but more importantly because of his unfathomable strength. In the Millennium Blood War plot, Hasward once broke into the first team single-handedly and started a fierce confrontation with Kyoraku Shunsui. That battle showed his great strength and fearless courage. Hasward possesses a special ability, Holy Word B. This ability can control luck and misfortune, creating balance in battle. He has long worn a sword made of spiritual energy, making him the only Quincy among the Knights of the Star Cross to use a sword and shield as weapons. His sword has a special power that can bring misfortune to his enemies. When the sword cannot grant misfortune to the enemy, he can also offset the enemy's luck by collecting misfortune around the world. At the same time, he can also reflect the damage caused to him by the enemy, and he has a scapegoat to withstand the damage and feedback it to the enemy again. In fact, there is actually the simplest and crudest way to defeat Hasward, which is to use absolute power to suppress him. If he can't defend him, then use more power than he can defend to completely defeat him. Hasward watched as Lin Yu came straight towards him, firing out a few sacred arrows from the sword in his hand. This Shinigami is very dangerous. It just prevents him from participating in the siege of His Majesty by Yamamoto Jinryusai Shigekuni. Otherwise, it will cause trouble for His Majesty. The bodyguard must have the role of guard. Facing the incoming sacred destroying arrow, Lin Yu easily dodged it with a flash. Lin Yu stepped forward and kept closing the distance between him and Hasward. It's really troublesome. This Shinigami doesn't use Shuinpa, right? It moves faster than our flying scythes. Looking at Lin Yu, who was approaching, Hasward decisively gave up and continued to use the sacred destroying arrow to attack, and drew out his The Spirit Sun is wearing a sword. Clang, the sound of swords clashing was heard, and Lin Yu instantly felt the activation of Hasward's holy writing ability. The power of his slashing was fed back to his sword, and a huge force almost caused his Zanpakuto to escape. In that case, I will avoid hitting his sword and shield and just hit him himself. Lin Yu continued to slash with his sword. Lin Yu and Hasward fought fiercely, and the forces of both sides collided, making loud noises. After several rounds of fierce fighting, Lin Yu finally found an opportunity and slashed Hasward's body with a knife. However, the scene of wounds and blood spurting that was supposed to appear did not happen. On the contrary, a layer of blue lines appeared on Hasward's body, like a hard shield, easily resisting Lin Yu's attack. Static blood suit? Is this the ability of your Quincy? It's really annoying. Lin Yu frowned and stood back with a knife. Hasward looked at Lin Yu, feeling a little surprised. He didn't expect that this Shinigami knew so much about their Quincy abilities and could even recognize the static blood suit at a glance. He couldn't help but think of the Shinigami he had met before. Their understanding of the Quincy was only superficial, and they knew nothing about this high-level ability. It seems that you are very familiar with the abilities of our Quincy, but I underestimated you. Hasward's expression became solemn, and he began to take the opponent in front of him seriously. The corners of Lin Yu's mouth raised slightly, revealing a confident smile. I know a lot of your Quincy secrets, but So what if you have a static blood armor? I can still hack you to death. With that said, Lin Yu raised the knife again and rushed towards Hasward. Not to be outdone, Hasward waved his sword and once again launched a new round of fierce duel with Lin Yu. At this time, Hasward's heart was full of doubts. He didn't know why this Shinigami knew so much about their Quincy abilities. Could it be that someone had leaked their information? If all the captains of the Gotei 13 knew this information, it would be troublesome. After all, there were less a killer weapon. Lin Yu was stunned and suddenly realized a serious problem. The captain and other captains did not know that the Quincy had such powerful abilities as blood-moving equipment and static blood equipment. If they did not understand this information in advance, they would not be able to fight in battle. You may be in danger because you don't know the enemy's capabilities. Thinking of this, Lin Yu immediately formed a seal with one hand, abandoned chanting, and directly released Tian Ting Kong Luo to ensure that the message could be conveyed to all captains in time. Just when Lin Yu resolutely gave up chanting and prepared to release Tian Ting Kong Luo, a sudden change caused Hasward's expression to change instantly. He realized that the situation was beyond control and must take immediate action to stop Lin Yu. Therefore, Hasward waved the sword in his hand without hesitation, sending out a huge and powerful sacred arrow of destruction. This dazzling arrow, carrying endless energy, galloped towards Lin Yu at an astonishing speed. His goal was clear: to interrupt Lin Yu's movements and prevent him from successfully performing Tian Ting Kong Luo. Hasward was filled with worry and tension. He knew very well that if the captains of the Gotei 13 learned the information about the blood armor, it would have a huge impact on the entire war situation. As the sacred destroying arrow approached rapidly, Bakudo S-81, breaking the sky, Lin Yu, who was releasing Tianting Kongra, instantly broke the sky. A transparent barrier was erected in front of him, and the sacred destroying arrow hit the barrier. Above, smoke and dust were everywhere, but the barrier remained intact after blocking the blow. There was not even a trace of crack. Tian Ting Kong Luo was successfully released. Captain, Ba Yunzhai, and all the captains. When I fought with Hasward, I discovered that these Quincy have a special ability called static blood equipment and blood dynamic equipment. They can mobilize the spirit in the body and inject it into the blood vessels to achieve defense and enhance attack power. When they use this power, light-colored branch lines will appear on their bodies, and blood-moving equipment will appear. It appears red, while the static blood armor appears blue. It should be noted that these two blood armors cannot be used at the same time. In addition, as long as our attack power exceeds their resistance range, it is possible to break the Quincy's blood armor. Everyone must handle it with caution. Hasward's pupils were shaking. What? When releasing Tentakura, he abandoned Bakudo with instant cast number 80 or above, and the holy Miya that he struck with all his strength was not even damaged by his Sora. Lin Yu, it seems that I underestimated you. Hasward had been calling Lin Yu Shinigami, and now he finally put away his contempt. It seems that it's impossible not to go all out. The captain, Ba Yunzhai, and others who received Lin Yu's message made a decision instantly. The captains of the Gotei 13 are not small players. Now that they have learned this important information, the advantage in the battle is even greater. Hasward, put away your shocked expression. Now I announce that the warm-up is over. Today, be prepared to die by my sword. Lin Yu's spiritual pressure surged around his body, and he continued to attack him. Offensive. You didn't even liberate the Zanpakudo, but you were so strong? Under Hasward's perception, Lin Yu's spiritual pressure became more fierce, as if he was facing an angry majesty. Damn it! Such a powerful Shinigami, why haven't you received any news before? The person who collected intelligence from the Knights of the Star Cross seriously neglected his duty. Not allowing Hasward to be shocked, Lin Yu had already slashed with his sword. Death. Hasward. Chapter 20. The flying sickle legs were pulled apart, and Hasward felt the danger of this slashing attack. Suddenly, I felt pain in my shoulder, and a hideous wound extended from my left shoulder to my chest, with blood gushing out. The color of the lines on the static blood suit is still lighting up. How is it possible? I have clearly dodged that knife just now. Not only that, but it also broke through the defense of my static blood suit. Hasward's eyes were no longer shocked, but fear. That kind of footwork and attack power are really terrifying. I might have to confess here today. Hasward, I said you would die here today. Do you think I'm kidding you? Lin Yu still smiled. A Quincy is nothing more than that. Hasward, Eden, and Layla saw him being seriously injured by the Shinigami with a knife. and they quickly broke away from their own battle group and rushed over to block Hasward. Layla. Holy Textile. Layla is able to heal wounds and illnesses through the power of love and light. Layla quickly activated her ability, and Hasward's wounds were healing rapidly visibly to the naked eye. Oh, it has the ability to heal. What's the use of that? Just one more slash will do it. Lin Yu continued to flash forward and slash with his sword. Stop being delusional, Shinigami. Eden stepped forward and stood in front of Hasward and Layla. Clang. Lin Yu's knife was like cutting on a diamond. It didn't break this man's defense. What kind of ability is this? My name is Eden Holy Word Eye. My body is as hard as steel. You cannot break through my defense. Huh, Eden, right? I admit that your defense is indeed very high, but you better not hold on. Although this sword did not break your defense, the next sword may not break it. Lin, you seem to hear something. Big joke. What should I do, Layla? This Shinigami is difficult to deal with. I just took one of his swords. I already used my full strength in the static blood suit, and I almost didn't block it. Another strike would be dangerous. Eden said he was relaxed, but in fact he was at the end of his game. That Quincy, I'm going to use my sword again, but don't die. Lin Yu quietly injected a trace of star power into the Zanpakuto. With a swing of the knife, Eden's body and head were separated in an instant, and blood splattered everywhere. Eden. Seeing this scene, another Quincy rushed towards Lin Yu angrily. Let's create a miracle. The corners of Lin Yu's mouth raised slightly, revealing a disdainful smile. I saw Eden's body emitting a strange light and miraculously resurrected. Shinigami, I am Michael. Holy Word M. I can create miracles. Resurrection? Before Michael finished speaking, Lin Yu impatiently interrupted. Really? What kind of weird ability is that? Lin Yu flashed and quickly came to Michael, the Zanpakuto in his hand shining with the power of the stars. Michael, be careful. His slashes are weird. The newly resurrected Eden loudly reminded his companions. However, it was already too late. Lin Yu swung his sword without hesitation, killing Michael instantly with the strike of star power. Michael's eyes widened, his face was full of disbelief and astonishment, and his body slowly fell down. In the eyes of outsiders, Eden and Michael died without blocking Lin Yu's slash. Hasward Layla, this Shinigami's slashing is weird. When he hit me just now, my ability to write holy words seemed to be sealed for a moment, so I could not block his sword, Eden said with a solemn expression. What happened just now happened, but it was too late. Michael was already dead. What? Hasward and Layla looked at Eden in shock. At this time, Lin Yu carried the Zanpakuto and walked towards the three of them step by step, with indifference in his eyes. You three, come together, Lin Yu said lightly. Facing a strong enemy, Hasward and Layla looked at each other and decided to join forces to fight against Lin Yu. They displayed their abilities at the same time, and for a moment, the light shone and energy overflowed. However, Lin Yu's strength far exceeded their imagination, and he easily avoided the attack. It's over. Lin Yu waved his Zanpakuto, drawing a brilliant arc. Hasward, Layla, and Eden tried their best to resist, but in the end they were defeated by Lin Yu's powerful offensive. 3 people were seriously injured and fell to the ground. Lin Yu looked at the 3 people who fell to the ground, preparing to use his knife to kill them again. Hasward, Layla, let's go quickly. Eden knew that they were no match for Lin Yu, and prepared to self-destruct to give the 2 of them time to escape. Eden. Hasward decisively pulled Layla back. Eden's body suddenly swelled. Self-destruction? Lin Yu, who noticed something was wrong, dodged away from Eden. Boom, a small mushroom cloud rose on the battlefield. Although the self-destruction did not affect Lin Yu, it also lost the opportunity to kill Hasward and Layla. What an incredible friendship. You can actually sacrifice yourself for your companions. This alone is worthy of my respect for you. Lin Yu looked at the 2 people who had fled away, and had no intention of continuing to pursue them. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Hasward and Layla looked at the mushroom cloud in the distance, their hearts filled with anger and unwillingness. They knew that Eden chose to blow himself up to let them escape. This spirit of sacrifice made him feel extremely shocked and remorseful. If it wasn't because he wasn't strong enough, maybe Eden wouldn't have died. Hasward, what should we do? Layla looked at Hasward, her eyes full of sadness and fear. She knew what Eden's self-destruction meant, and she also knew that their situation was going to be very bad. Hasward took a deep breath and tried to calm down his inner emotions. We will first deal with the remaining captains with other members of the Knights. Then we will unite with a few members and avenge Eden. After saying that, Hazward took Layla and turned around to join the fighting group next to him. All that was left was the battlefield that was destroyed beyond recognition by Eden's self-destruction and Lin Yu's indifferent back. Lin Yu looked at Hazward and Layla's retreating figures and shook his head slightly. He knew that this war had just begun, and there were more Quincy waiting for him to eliminate. At the same time, the battle between other Shinigami teams and the Quincy also entered a fierce stage. The two sides refused to give in to each other and fought fiercely. The entire battlefield was filled with the smell of death and blood. Lin Yu held the Zanpakuto tightly in his hand, his eyes revealing an unswerving determination, as if telling the world, "I will not back down." His eyes slowly swept across the surrounding battlefield, and he couldn't help but feel a strong sense of responsibility in his heart. The captains of the Gotei 13 are all powerful beings, and there is no need to worry about their combat effectiveness, but Lin Yu also knows clearly that this is not an easy battle. At this moment, the Shinigami's middle and lower-level combat power does not have the same advantage as the captains. In comparison, the Quincy's power is more powerful. Looking around, the battlefield was covered with the corpses of Shinigami and Quincy, and every figure represented a once living life. Lin Yu observed these corpses carefully, and his heart sank. He discovered that there were slightly more corpses of Shinigami than Quincy. This fact made him realize that if the current situation continues to develop, although Soul Society will eventually win, the price paid will be huge. It seems that I have to do something. Lin Yu is looking for the next target with his Zanpakuto.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.